is up, everybody? Welcome to the Unusual Suspects. I'm Brandon Aceto, and today we have a star-studded panel. We got Humberto, we have Connor, and we have the wonderful Amy in the house.
Thanks to Humberto, it's literally star-studded.
Yeah, it's the birthday of our great nation this week. So, I mean, of all the birthday week nonsense that we hear with the girls saying, "Oh, it's my birthday week," but with America, we could say it's birthday week.
Yeah, sorry, Tiff. When you contribute as much to the world as America has, maybe then you can get a birth week.
It would be Tiff. So today on the docket we got Diddy. That stuff just came out today with what might happen with him. We got a lot to talk about with that. Then we got this Zohan character from New York, the mayor, potential next mayor candidate. We're gonna react to that because we have a whole list of concerns with that. Then the Alligator Alcatraz situation. That's gonna be a lot of fun to talk about. And this fire situation in Idaho, like a lot of familiar things from other situations that we got to talk about. And obviously, we have to talk about Peter Thiel saying he's concerned about the AI push leading to a one-world government because, I mean, it's kind of like gaslighting to the highest extent for Peter Thiel to say, like, he's worried about marching us towards a one-world government. So without any further ado, guys, what is your reaction to the Diddy trial? Like, were you expecting them to throw the book at him? I mean, so he was being charged with 5 counts, and it was just 2 of these 5 counts that he's going to end up being charged of. So I'll go down the list quick, then give me your reaction. So count 1, racketeering conspiracy, not guilty. Count 2, sex trafficking, not guilty. Count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution, guilty. Count 4, sex trafficking, not guilty. Count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution, guilty. So, Amy, are you shocked with this outcome? Are you underwhelmed, overwhelmed, or adequately whelmed?
Well, this is obviously not justice being served, so it's disappointing to see. I mean, the guy is guilty. It's allegedly, my opinion, what I've seen, looking at the testimonies. He's guilty, man. I mean, there's so much degenerate, sick shit that goes down in Hollywood. And I largely believe that they utilize these things as a mechanism to be able to enforce, like, blackmail protocols on people, essentially. The way I saw it is if he was found guilty, what that means is that his blackmail operation is no longer useful to whoever is utilizing it. And if he's found not guilty, then clearly he still has some type of pull, some type of influence. So,
yeah, I
see it. So to me, it's very telling about how that surveillance could still possibly be valuable or used, or, you know, confirmation that it was possibly a surveillance operation to begin with.
Yeah, I have a weird run on this, but I want to hear what Connor and Humberto have to say first. So, Connor, what do you got?
I mean, we've talked on the show and amongst ourselves in the office before about how we didn't really expect anything huge to happen to Diddy. Right before the show started, Brandon, you and I, we were watching the Cassie video. One of Diddy in a towel running down a hallway after Cassie Ventura punches her in the back of the head, then stomps on her, then drags her back into the hotel room.
Yeah.
That did not come up.
Nope.
He wasn't charged with anything for that. Like that's, I believe, what the civil case is about. But as is always the case with these high-profile sex trafficking and racketeering things, nothing ever happens. And you can tell it's because they're protected by people of the highest order. And not to step on the point you're going to make, but obviously we could tell because James Comey's daughter was assigned to the prosecution.
Yep.
And that's the same person who went after Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein.
Keeps it nice and contained and neat, so there's no, like,
she might as well be a fixer on these things. Like, she'll make the problems go away. He was found guilty of the 2 lesser charges. Each of them only carries 10 years, so he could be facing 20. But odds are pretty good they'll have the sentences be served concurrently, and then they'll give him a minimum sentence, and then with good behavior, he could be out in like 2 to 3 years potentially.
Oh yeah,
on parole.
I called this, all right, and everyone here knows.
Just you alone, nobody else.
No, I was like, he's gonna walk, all right, because blackmail is very popular in the country that I know.
Yeah,
and
it's what this country's built on.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh come on.
But we knew he was going to walk. Too influential, too many people that have interest there. Because once you start digging, like and Amy, you're right. If they landed the Rico case, that needs to, like, a deeper investigation to all the web. Mm-hmm. If they landed that case, we would have gotten information that we actually want about all these demons that were running around.
Yeah.
But we saw this coming from a mile. It was good. It was good television, I must say.
No, it wasn't.
Like what?
It wasn't good
It wasn't
television. Like,
televised.
OJ was good television. This wasn't. This was so underwhelming with entertainment.
No, not this, not the result. But we had a lot to talk about for a few months and everything.
But look what happened with OJ though. Like that was iconic. I mean, I was like just born that year, but you watch all the OJ documentaries and like that captivated the nation. Every day you saw OJ bopping around on the trial. Like that seemed like it was a lot of fun. But this
That seemed like it was a lot of fun.
yeah, to consume. People love that stuff.
Well,
But what else?
because that this falls in a gray area that I think America hasn't been able to like comprehend. Like when it comes to the OJ trial, it was very black and white. You know what I mean?
Quite literally.
No pun
yes.
intended.
No, it was black and white. Did he murder her? Did he not murder her? That's it. But what does this entail? Like if we had a different verdict, like who's involved? What's the purpose?
Well, this was controlled from the beginning because I mean, like Connor said, they have these safe prosecutors that handle all these cases, and I mean, what I think happened with this thing is he started talking shit about Diageo, the old money company that's from like the 1700s, the $1 billion alcohol company that owns like every major alcohol brand. He had a deal with them, started talking crap, saying that they were being racist against him for not marketing his stuff, and I think they said because he was he was feeling cocky, he felt like he could do anything in the world, and they said to him like, "Oh, you think you're powerful, you little shit? You think you're powerful because you're a billionaire on paper?" Like, all right, they make one phone call, then his whole world falls apart because like he started doing that in 2023. Then like within a couple months, like everything starts coming out. Like all the allegations just hit him like a storm. That weird book comes out from his dead ex-wife that's titled like by the alias that Tupac used to go under, supposedly given a bunch of secrets but Amazon stopped selling it because of how weird its origins were. But I think that he apologized like crazy to whoever was like unleashing the storm on him, and now he's back in their good graces, and they're gonna give him a little slap on the wrist because he is immensely valuable to him. Like the best actor one of the best actors in the world, Leonardo DiCaprio. Remember when he came out and did that Kamala endorsement this year where he's like I think it's really important that we elect Kamala Harris because the climate and social rights and everything. Like one of the greatest actors, one of the greatest actors in the world can't even act like he likes Kamala Harris. Where the hell is that coming
It
from?
did look like a hostage video. It looked like a hostage video.
He's turning the page. He's dating a 26-year-old now, all right?
When has he not been dating 26-year-olds? Every time they turn over 25, he dumps them.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
doesn't matter. When one of the greatest actors in the world can't act like he likes somebody, that means, in my opinion, that he's being compelled by powerful forces to do something. So,
yeah.
I mean, was he one of the people that was allegedly at these parties?
He was, yeah. There's images of him at the white party.
So hypothetically speaking, we don't know any of this stuff.
But you know who else was there,
hypothetically speaking,
according to the court
if he's
documents?
if he's at one of these things and gets into something he shouldn't get into, and there's compromising stuff, like I'm sure that'd be a pretty effective way to get him to make those crazy hostage videos endorsing a candidate.
Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff were allegedly at Diddy parties.
Yeah.
All right, good that
But-
they party.
And Obama was in his orbit.
Prince Harry and various other members of the royal
Yeah, so
family.
they don't wanna throw that asset
They had
away.
everybody there.
Think about how overwhelming of a rehaul that is. Like when you lose somebody like Epstein, when you have to rebuild that whole network and get your guy in place again to capture all that stuff. So I don't think they want to lose Epstein and Diddy within a 5-year stretch.
Yeah, probably not. But I think even with the slap on the wrist kind of sentence he's likely to get from this, his credibility is burned. I don't think Diddy is going to return to his celebrity status that he used to have. I think they will find another thing to do.
OJ did it.
Yeah,
OJ
if he's
did
being
it.
protected, I think they'll find something else to do with him. But you remember the cultural clout that Diddy's name used to have?
Oh, yeah.
He was in everything, and now
He was a hit maker.
People recycle those clips
entrepreneur.
of, here's Alvin and the Chipmunks talking about being on Diddy's yacht, or the cast of Parks and Rec talking about how they were hanging out with P. Diddy or something, and like those clips have aged like milk. Everybody regrets Diddy. Kesha has that song, wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. She started changing the performance of the song to wake up in the morning like F.P. Diddy.
Right.
So now his name is dirt, and the civil suits are going to clean him out down the line too.
Yeah.
So
but,
I'm interested to see what they'll try to do with him now, because it's not like he's going to be, world's top music producer throwing parties that get presidents and royal family members to come hang out with him.
It wasn't even his music that was bringing in the money, though. It was those like random like clothing and alcohol deals that seemed like it felt like Epstein's story, where Epstein just gets this sweetheart position at like a what is it, like an investment firm or something,
After being a school teacher,
right? Like which he wasn't qualified for, and then like Leon Black gives him $180 million for consulting. So like stuff that just like doesn't sound like the way that things normally work. So that's how his Sean John clothing line felt to me. That's how the what was it, the Diageo deal was with him with Ciroc. So I feel like he got a lot of these sweetheart things in return for being a good blackmail boy. So I think that network still exists. I think it'll blow over. He'll get less than 3 years, unfortunately, and they'll go right back to it. So what do you like? I guess around the horn, and we'll move on to the next one. What's your prediction for the amount of time that he serves, each person, Amy?
I don't know enough about like legal sentencing, honestly, to be able to say.
Give it a guess.
I think he'll walk.
Just clean, nothing.
Yeah, I think or maybe he'll get like sentenced, but he'll do a suspended sentence, so he'll be able to leave and actually walk immediately. Yeah. Anyone who's a part of that Satanist, devil worshipping clique, those people are protected, man.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think
he has the weird Santeria tattoo on his back.
Yeah, I mean that's just one of many things
chaos.
that we could get into.
All right.
That demon actually is meant to represent sexual confusion and power over men, which.
Check.
I mean, when you look at everything that people like, what's his name, Cat Williams said about him, 50 Cent was terrified to even be around him because he kept saying shit like,
at least he called
let me take you shopping and stuff like
Terrence
that.
Howard say that right over on the PBD podcast?
He did said that.
He said like your butt is like the portal to your soul or something.
Yeah, he said Diddy tried to hook up with me or something.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Brandon,
Yeah?
I think if he did zero, like Amy said, that she's wrong, very wrong. The public outrage will be too great. All right. So I think he will serve anywhere between 3 to 5 years.
Like actually in legitimate jail, like doing
They
serious
need the pictures, Brandon. They need the pictures of him walking in the cell. They need to do a 30-minute interview, a 60-minute interview with him in the cell, dressed with the thing, and they do the whole ritual. You know, this
in the orange, yeah.
Yeah, this is all about optics, Brandon.
It is a lot about.
They did it with Epstein. They did it with Epstein. So
well, I mean, speaking of optics, I mean, like, so first I'll say, yeah, I think he's new maybe 3 years. He'll do like half of that from home. He'll get out early in good behavior. I think he's in there for 6 months, like you said about the optics and everything. But speaking about optics, the optics of the new mayor of New York is pretty scary, and I have like one burning question with this. So, I keep seeing a lot of people say like we're about to have a communist being the mayor of New York, but I think that's burying the lead. Like I'm much more concerned about a Muslim mayor of New York rather than a communist mayor of New York. I mean, neither of them are great, but I think the former is scarier. So around the horn, guys, like what terrifies you more, having a Muslim in political power or having a communist in political power?
I mean, I don't think he's either one. From what I have seen of Zoran Mamdani, geez, we're gonna trip over that a lot.
Yeah.
He identifies as a socialist.
Uh-huh.
He identifies as a Muslim.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's authentically either one of those, because it's not like Muslims are totally down with the trans agenda. Mamdani is. It's not like Muslims are unabashedly communist. He is. I think this guy is a political operator who will embody whatever the furthest left thing is. He will adopt socialism. He will adopt Islam. He will adopt literally anything. He's
got a good grocery store idea, doesn't he? Like, want to show that quick?
Watch this terrible idea.
Cost of living,
are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you.
Exactly. Like that's not Islam, but it's creating communist breadlines. But this next one I want to point to is why I think he doesn't embody either one of them. He's talking about how we want to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer, whiter neighborhoods. This guy wants to crack down on rich white people because he is, at his core, just a radical leftist. The communism, the socialism, the immigrant status, the Islam, whatever. You can't even identify what this guy is. He
has like 4 different accents, right?
Yeah, he's an Indian.
5.
He's an Indian Muslim born in Uganda who moved here in the 90s, only became a citizen 7 years ago, and immediately decided to run for office. Like, this guy will code
parents
switch.
are rich, right?
Yeah, his parents are wealthy. His mom's a video producer.
Yeah.
Like one of the most famous directors in India or something. Like, this guy will switch up everything he stands
psychopath.
for in order to get power. So trying to identify him as a Muslim or as a communist, it's cutting himself, or it's cutting him short, because it's underselling the threat he is.
What do you think, Humberto?
Look, I for 10 years of my life, I lived under Muslim rule. All right, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, he was one of the. I never felt so safe living in a city. I never seen such a city that is so clean. I never like the rules were the rules. They never felt more fair because like
Dubai
You know,
specifically, right?
you know
Is what you're talking
so
about.
this just occurred to me though. So you know how we always
super respectful to the Christian faith.
But you know how people always make that stupid comparison where like, oh, like if Norway or Sweden can do socialism, why can't we do it here? And we always say it's because they're resource rich and they have low population. So like it's like an easy mode for them with doing that type of stuff. So I almost feel like oil rich countries in the Middle East, like they have a easier setup to have like things very much in order and nice and neat like that. But if you're not an oil rich country and you're Muslim, then it might not be as appealing of a situation.
Well, I can tell you part of the other reason why that works: cultural and ethnic homogeneity. The Scandinavian countries are very ethnically and culturally homogenous, in addition to being resource rich and small population. The Middle East, if you look at like a place like Dubai,
They take very, very good care of their culture and their heritage.
yeah, they are like this is our dominant culture, this is our dominant religion. They allow in outsiders, but it's
and you know where you
it's
stand all
small.
the time.
Yeah.
All right, so
But
I mean,
New York doesn't have that.
no.
New York, we just reported on Amy's show last week, and I think we talked about it here as well. It's like 40% people born outside the United States.
Yeah.
That is a city that has no cultural identity anymore.
Yeah.
well, but going back to my point, because I just got started with that.
Yeah.
So, can a Muslim run a city well? Yes, they can. All right. Maybe not everywhere, and the same thing with socialism that doesn't translate to America. The same thing with ruling a city with the Dubai style wouldn't translate to anywhere else. All right. So this guy is he's one of the most progressive politicians in America right now. He will side with every cause that the left has. I just saw a few interviews. He was getting interviewed by a trans guy. Like if being a Muslim was a problem, he will try to behead the trans guy that was interviewing him.
Right.
So he is filled with contradictions. All of them attempt against the American way of life. All right.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of transgenderism, like immigration. He's cerebral immigration. He hates white people.
Yeah.
I don't know if he hates them, but he has publicly, like you showed the article, he has publicly made statements. This is very similar. He's the type of guy, I don't know if you guys saw what happened in Glastonbury last weekend. He's the type of guy that epitomizes what happened in Glastonbury. It's a bunch of like middle class white guys that paid $400 to go shout for Palestine at a stupid concert. That's the type of guy that he is. You know, I don't think he's a true believer on anything. I think if you do any math on any of his economical proposals, he gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And hopefully, New Yorkers get wiser. But at the same time, this is a very unpopular opinion. Maybe New York needs this guy.
Why? So that they can learn from their mistakes
'Cause-
after they
'cause it-
crash and
'cause-
burn and
yeah,
realize,
he's-
like, oh, okay, we actually put this idea into practice. And after everyone telling us that socialism doesn't work and socialism is bad, we finally realized through self-evident reality.
Do you know what a Pyrrhic victory is?
Empirical?
No, Pyrrhic.
Pyrrhic.
Enlighten us.
Well, basically, it feels like you're like if this guy doesn't get into power and we have Cuomo, it will feel that we won, but we lost again. All right.
Do we have that Israel clip where they
We do. It's the last clip in this segment.
But what I'm saying, like Cuomo is keeping because New York right now is really bad.
Yeah.
Cuomo is keeping the water warm and keeping things bad. Once they see like how bad things can get, it will flip. This is the thing that happened to Australia and how it became a socialist country, right? They entered little by little. Like, have you heard about boiling the frog?
Yeah.
You put them in cold water.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Australia, they started chipping away freedom. They started chipping away, basic human rights. They started introducing
away
immigration,
guns.
like year by year, little by little. And then you have the Cuomos of the world. You have the Eric Adams of the world. That they have this agenda, but they're not brave enough to to go full speed ahead with this thing. So maybe a guy that is open about being a socialist and he's doing like big changes will give New Yorkers the wake up call that they need. You know,
It's like this quote that I heard that was really good. I shared with Humberto the other day. There's a guy walking and he hears this dog whining along his walk. He looks over, he sees a dog whining and crying on this front porch. And he turns to the owner and he says, "Is your dog okay?" The owner says, "Yeah, she's fine. She's sleeping on a nail." And he said, "Well, why doesn't she get up?" And she said, "It doesn't hurt bad enough." And that is, I feel like, currently the case in New York and so many places around the United States. Like, just terrible conditions, but nothing that's like so bad that it moves you and compels you to say, okay, we seriously need a wake-up call and we need to change. Like, there's no other option other than to change. To your point, Humberto, I think you make an excellent point with, the baby steps and slow walking people into socialism. And that's the defense that everyone's giving of this. And, we got chewed out in the dangerous conversation comments because people are
weirdly enough, by guys named Abdul and Amir. I can't imagine why they'd have problems with rejecting this guy.
But everyone's like, guys, it's only 5 stores. Do you think that they're going to advocate that they're going to push this model for every single? No, they need to slowly condition you to believe that it's acceptable. They need to test the waters with different policies, different proposals before they fully carry them out and enact them.
I actually think it's the opposite, though. So you said it's not painful enough. I think it's so painful that they're willing to take this crap. Like, the cost of living in New York was already bad before COVID, but now it's like impossible to even be able to get food and have a house without government assistance in New York.
But it's going to get even worse.
Yeah,
it's going to
right.
get even
But-
worse
but-
through
but
this
They're
guy.
going to take more extreme stuff. That's the road to serfdom. There's multiple roads to serfdom, but basically you tear everything down, make it so bad that you get somebody that's charismatic and just like says simple things that people can understand and makes it sound like they could fix it all by doing radically different things. So that's what he's doing.
All these people need to do is take a look at
No,
history
they
and
need-
see the
they
places that
need
they have
to
tried
move
to
out of
implement.
New York.
think the
That's
average-
what they need.
Yeah,
You think
okay,
the
well,
average
that's a
person knows about
conversation we
history?
should have. Did you guys
No.
see Ronnie D saying that he's going to charge taxes on people moving
Good.
from New York?
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, because
But-
they're all going to try to come here. You
but-
guys know that, right? And what I cannot stand is people who come to Florida from these liberal bitch-ass cities, and then they get here and they try to make Florida, New York, or California, all these other places. I detest that.
But what makes me mad that they complain about the cost of living in New York. New York, sorry, but that Wall Street is the financial center of America,
Of the
right?
world.
of the world. So everyone that works on finances, they have a certain standard of living and drives prices up. The same with San Francisco. It's a
Yeah.
market saying that you need to be a top talent living here, like you need to make a certain amount of money to live here.
No. It's,
What do you mean?
It's government subsidized housing. That's what's jacking the price of everything up. And
We need to get rid of it.
Like, they said the other day on the
I mean,
podcast.
I'm
We've been talking about this
I
for a
don't
year.
even care, you
$3
know?
trillion in what is it? Welfare related things like entitlements. $3 trillion a year of the government budget goes to entitlements. So what do you think that does to the price of food and the price of housing? Like I always say, biggest problem for everybody is the cost of living. Like the basic things you need to live, like food, housing, energy. Those 3 things take up like 60% of the average paycheck right now. If those things went down to like taking up 10% of the average paycheck, it'd be a whole different world. People could actually think and have discretionary income and not be desperate enough to elect people like this. I mean, I get what you're saying with the communist stuff, guys, but I'm much more worried about the Muslim thing. Like, I strongly believe that you probably should not be allowed to hold office in America if you're not a Christian or a Catholic, because it's a Christian-based country, and when we start deviating from that, we get to a dangerous place. Like, there's a lot of Catholic churches that are closing down and being converted into mosques. Like, I'm not a fan of that. Like, I don't think that's going to lead to anything good. Like, and it's not like they're coming here to assimilate. Like, people from Mexico, mostly South America, they'll at least come here and assimilate. They want to, hustle, work, and build a life for themselves.
They have a pickup truck and a barbecue.
Right, and they're over the moon. They're happy with that. But these people are openly saying they want to fundamentally change the way our country operates. Basically, if you're not Islam, then you're their enemy, right? Like, is that part of their thing? They want to eliminate you if you're not Islamic, if you don't convert to it?
Okay, so let's clarify. Obviously, there are Muslim people out there who aren't on the more extreme side. Now, would I even want the non-extreme, just everyday regular Muslims leading this country? No, because this is a Christian nation. It was founded on Christian values. However, I think it is important to differentiate between the extremist Muslims who believe it's okay to marry 9-year-olds, right?
Isn't that their founding doctrine, though?
Yeah, Muhammad married... No, he didn't marry a 9-year-old. He married a 6-year-old and then said he didn't consummate it until she was 9. Right. So, real upstanding guy who founded this faith.
Right. I'm just saying, I meant Muslim people
hold on.
And what don't hold these extremist views, is what I'm saying.
But if you study history, you will see this is how Muslims take over every place they have ever been. The First Crusades were a defensive war after 1,000+ years of Islamic conquest, where they took over a third, maybe 2/3 of Europe.
Yeah.
The entire Iberian Peninsula was an Islamic caliphate until they drove the Moors back out into North Africa. And that was the Reconquista of Spain that kickstarted the Spanish Golden Age by the time they got done with it.
And look at Europe now.
Yeah, this is how it always happens. They are no longer able to conquer by the sword, so they conquer by little bits and pieces. First it was immigration, then it's takeover of governments. Islam spreads like a civilizational cancer that destroys everything it touches.
You went to Minnesota last week.
Did you guys already see the bells go off, or was that in New York? So you know how they do the call to prayer in Muslim cities, where you hear the bells and then they literally just start praying in the middle of the street. This has started to take place,
which they're not
in American
obligated to do, by the way.
Cities now.
There are rules in Islam about you have your obligation to pray, but there are
5 times a day.
There's exceptions for if you are traveling or in a place where you can't. There are ways around that. So when you see the Muslim guys on planes where they lay out their prayer mat in the middle of the plane and start praying, they are not obligated to do that religiously. It is done as an act of dominance.
Yeah.
Now, we just had Tommy Robinson on the PBD podcast a few weeks ago. Great episode. You guys watching at home should go check that out.
Episode.
But while they were in the editor's bay cutting together all the clips for that and, finding footage of the Islamic takeover of specifically the UK, but Europe more broadly.
And Canada.
A lot of the guys in the editors bay what are we looking at? It's just people engaging in their religion, right? These aren't acts of terrorism. It's just large groups of people praying in a park or something. But that's the point. Mm-hmm. That is how this works. You slowly saturate the target population with Muslims from foreign countries. They reproduce at 3 times the rate of the native population. And next thing you know, you have enough saturation to start taking over public spaces to pray.
And Congress.
You buy up vacant buildings and turn them into mosques. You start slowly converting it into the Islamic world. And what's funny, they're now getting Muslims in the UK saying, yeah, it just feels like we kind of lost something. This doesn't feel like the UK anymore. I came here to get away from the Middle East, and now it feels like the Middle East. Yeah, go figure.
Real quick, Humberto, you went to Little Somalia last week. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, when I bought my ticket, I thought I was going to the Midwest, but I ended up in the Middle East, Brandon.
Yeah.
It was absolutely unbelievable.
So, I mean, that's a sample size of what's to come for other...
You were in what? Minnesota?
Minnesota.
They call it Little Somalia now.
Brandon, let me tell you something, all right?
Tell me.
There's a concept on the left, all right, and there's deep ties between some sectors of Islam and the left, and it's called repressive tolerance. Have you heard about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Herbert Marcuse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote about this, that everything to the left, no matter how far, like having guys praying in the middle of the street, as far left, we will tolerate everything to the left. But to the right, you don't give them an inch. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If guys go hey, Asian and white students, they go hey, guys, you know what? We really don't appreciate, not being admitted to school at the same rate as you guys. you are a racist.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, and you know, they will get up in arms.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But to the other side, like, you know, we will accept anyone with a pulse as long as they're the right type of people with LGBT and disabled and this and that.
That's so true.
And
Because there's more high achievers, so it's easier to get like the masses behind you when you're advocating for mediocrity.
and tolerance is going to be the downfall of the West.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's being
Christians, stop being freaking tolerant.
well, tolerance, and you can fact check me. Tolerance is not a Christian value. All right,
Right now it is.
It's not. It's not a
What do you
Christian
mean?
Christianity has been subverted and taught that tolerance is a virtue and that you need to be accepting and loving, that Christ didn't actually teach any specific message or behavioral standards. It was just be generally nice to each other in the name
Yeah.
of love. That's
Yeah.
actually not what it was.
But,
Tolerance for sin is evil.
Right.
So when you tolerate evil things, you are complicit in them. And there should be zero tolerance for that
You
kind of
shall
thing.
not tolerate evil. You shall destroy it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
Brandon, that's why we go back and forth about this stuff all the time. I'm shocked to hear you agreeing with me on this point of like that Muslims specifically should not be members of our government. But look at Congress.
I've even been pondering the question of should they be admitted citizenship
Yeah.
because then they're able to vote. So
I mean, as a blanket statement, foreign-born people should not be allowed to hold government office.
100%.
Yeah.
Government office or high office, right? Let
No-
me
no-
no
no
form of
office.
office. So
From-
no,
from
because
mayor
because
on up.
technically, I was doing research on this last night. Let me know if I'm mistaken. But usually, being a mayor doesn't count as high office, but it does in places like New York and California, just because of the sheer population level and the amount of people.
yeah, I mean, I consider it high office because
Or in
you
their city.
is a-
you have the biggest
Yeah.
impact on the lives of the people that live in your area if you're the mayor, even if you're the mayor of a small
That's what
town.
we're saying. Proportionally, they have the most power. Like
Yeah.
in day-to-day things, they have more power than the president.
Yeah, like our mayor will
they
affect
have
us more than
more
the president.
power than the governors. They definitely have more power than Senate, and definitely have more powers than Congress. They have access to a budget. All
Right.
right.
Yeah.
A budget that they're solely in control of.
Yeah.
All right. Like at least the governor, he has a Senate and he has a Congress.
Look
the
at,
president has a Senate and a Congress.
Look at this lady, Tiffany Henyard. Remember her in that city outside of Chicago? She was like the worst mayor in America. She got elected after running a whole campaign about how like the entire city was racist, so they owed it to her as a black woman to make her mayor. And then she stole several $1 million on like personal trips and getting her hair done.
Oh my
and
gosh.
renting SUVs and like
Parties.
She was so bad they got Lori Lightfoot to go to the city and investigate her.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, they got the child of Beetlejuice to go investigate
but,
this other mayor for
but-
being worse than her.
What you said, Brandon, 100% agree. Everyone that holds any type of office, from the post office, needs to be born in America.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of scary monsters like Beetlejuice, guys, we have a new exciting facility right here in Florida called Alligator Alcatraz. And the thing with this one, there's three main critics of the thing. So I'm going to give you the three main critics, and then you tell me which one is making the best case. So we got environmentalists, Native Americans, and human rights groups. Should we play a little clip of Trump giving a rundown of it first? Will that set the tone properly? What do you think, Connor? Is this a good tone setter?
Here, keep going forward, guys. Sorry, we're
So
We're
mixed up
live.
here.
So-
Here we go. This is
is
Donald
the tone
Trump's
setter?
assessment when he took a tour yesterday, I think.
Here we
right?
go.
Well with the federal government. It's been just a beautiful, beautiful partnership. So, Ron, I'd like to thank you personally. You're my friend, and you'll always be my friend.
He's
and
friends
we may
with
have
DeSantis
some
again.
skirmishes even in the future. I doubt it, but I will always come back because we just we have blood that seems to match pretty well.
Can you do that
We
with
have a
Massey now?
relationship that's been a very strong one for a long period
Well,
of
if
time.
Massey
and I
opened
appreciate
Alligator
it.
Alcatraz, I'm
Very
sure.
much
All right,
appreciate
So
it.
if you go ahead one or two more, we'll get another Trump clip.
Is it
one more?
Is it worth playing?
Yeah, here we go. This
All right.
this is
Are you in a hurry?
That one was underwhelming. I'm sorry.
Jeez.
Let's hear this
Friends,
one.
Alligator Alcatraz.
There we go.
Which is very appropriate because I looked outside and that's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon. But very soon this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. Quite a few. We're amazed at actually the number. We took the FEMA money that Joe Biden allocated to pay for the free luxury hotel rooms, where he's paying hundreds of millions of dollars in New York City, and we used it to build this project. And Narana was just a little fraction of that money. The money they spent on that project, I happen to know the real estate developer. He's a he never really made that much, but he became very wealthy. With luxury, he didn't do well. With people that are not exactly luxury, he's made a fortune.
So, all right. I mean, I think this thing's mostly symbolic because we have places like this, but the name Alligator Alcatraz, the fact that it's in the middle of a swamp, that's cool.
It's wonderful.
But
great.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, though, you got the environmentalist group saying we're disrupting the protected species. You got the Native Americans saying we're disrupting the spiritual protected lands, and then the human rights group saying that it's cruel and unusual punishment to put them in the middle of a swamp like this. So, yeah, around the horn. Amy, your favorite part of this, and then who's making the best case against it?
It feels like I like this because it feels like Azkaban in a way.
Yeah.
It feels like Harry Potter in the first film of Azkaban, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I mean, we're talking about the worst of the worst. We're talking about people who have committed crimes, who smuggle drugs through our borders. We're talking about people who are here illegally. Number one, let's keep them away, far away, and prevent them from ever being able to break out. But number two, let's create some solid deterrence. Like, that's what jail is meant to be, aside from, the purpose it serves of keeping, neurodivergent people separated from regular people. It's meant to serve as a deterrent to prevent people from doing bad things.
Yeah.
I really can't think of a much better deterrent.
No, yeah, Alligator Alcatraz, you kidding me?
Absolutely not.
Well, do you prefer Alligator Alcatraz or Gator Gitmo?
Alligator Alcatraz.
I think Alligator Alcatraz, it has a ring to it. And again, it reminds me of Azkaban, which I love.
You think they did a focus group on this? Well,
I think Trump coined it right away when they mentioned...
He's so good at naming things. My favorite thing about the whole thing is his Gulf of America hat. That's a beautiful hat. And talking about great American hats, we have our 4th of July collection. You can get your hats.
you're doing it.
Wow, what a great merch plug.
Nice segue.
Connor's wearing on the black. We have this one that is brand new. You can get it at .com/store.
Why'd you look at the thing when you're saying it doesn't say VT.com on there?
No, they say USA, the best.
I know, but you're reading the thing as if that's the destination.
But they're beautiful hats. I can't get enough of them.
I think this is the last time
it's
the merch team asks us to
It's America's birthday.
Yeah,
Get yourself a USA hat for
and
America's
also,
birthday.
we do have Gulf of America merch over there.
We do, and it's beautiful.
As beautiful as the Gulf itself.
Just as good.
All right,
but anyway,
I think that gets the point.
Yeah,
across,
back to Alligator Alcatraz.
So yeah, who's making the best case though? Neither of you guys gave that. Who's making the best case against it? Like contrarian, counter.
None of them. They're all bullshit.
But you gotta pick a favorite though. No.
Which one is actually legitimate?
Yeah.
Definitely not the human rights one. Absolutely not. What was the environmentalism?
Yeah.
Dude, they're naturally occurring. They're here already. This is where they live. What are we talking about? They just need
referring
to go
to
around.
alligators, not the immigrants.
Yeah, sorry. The alligators. Well, I mean, they both kind of are here. But yeah, the alligators. I actually saw your typical liberal make a post like Alligator Alcatraz doing its first draft pick, and it's like picking up this alligator.
I saw it. It was huge.
It was massive.
So can I give my take on this?
Yeah.
Because I'm actually, like, I get the idea. I'm a little concerned about this, and I will be completely honest. Because think of, like, you have this facility where there's all these people, and they are locked up in the middle of the swamp. Imagine, like, some guy gets out and falls into that alligator moat, and they eat him.
I think that's
the poor alligators might get a stomach ache.
Oh, I see.
And that's my big concern. But no, seriously, like I think the environmentalists probably made the best argument because as a Florida native, I hate to see parts of the Everglades destroyed. It is a very important biome for our state. It's part of our character. It's part of what makes the state what it is. If we didn't have the Everglades, it would be a desert. It's a unique place that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. But this facility already existed.
Yeah.
Like the airstrip and the land it was on was already developed and left empty for a long time. All they did was build the buildings on it.
Right.
So environmental impact was almost nothing. The alligators are just already there. They didn't fill the moat with them. They just live in the water.
It was cheap, minimal.
Great marketing. Great.
Also, the
symbolism.
building itself is air conditioned and enclosed. It's not like some open air tent where they're locked in cages.
They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, here, if we go back a couple, there's a video that I think Benny Johnson got when he took a tour of it. Couple more, one more. Yeah, right here.
Oh,
but
there you go.
This
It's
is
a
actually
nice setup.
pretty nice.
Yeah.
And if you remember when the Biden administration, no, we can roll it while I'm talking.
Better than the Obama prisoners.
Yeah, if the Biden administration, the Obama cages, those were like mattresses on the floor. These are bunks. The building is air conditioned.
Yeah.
They made it seem like, oh, they're going to be in an open air tent with mosquitoes and at risk of hurricanes. No, this is actually this is pretty nice.
What else do you need? So
I've seen it worse places.
Yeah.
Way worse.
And Brandon, I want to bring up the point. Like
Okay.
anything that Trump does, they will criticize it. All right.
Yeah.
It could be the Great Lakes lockup or the desert, whatever it is.
Yep.
Like they're gonna criticize him anyways because they don't want these people to like get locked up and they don't want these people to leave. So it doesn't matter where he does it and how he does it, with what money he does it. Like they're still gonna criticize him.
This one was extra funny though, like both the environmentalists and the Native Americans, because like the environmentalists, if you care so much about the well-being of the Everglades, like I thought the Everglades was already decimated by the 100,000 pythons that are here now that somebody let loose, and that like they're an invasive species, and that like they literally are killing alligators. That's got how big the pythons are. Like you got 20-foot pythons. Like you ever see the movie Anaconda? Like that's down the street. Like you got 20. No, and guess what? They start an initiative where you get paid to freaking kill them and bring them in, but only 2,000 of them have been killed and brought in because of how hard they are to find.
Wow.
There's 100,000 of them out there.
Wait, is this what you were saying today when you were
Yeah,
like, does it bother... Brandon just randomly, I was working,
piped
Brandon
up.
just randomly goes, does it bother any of you that like 10 miles away there's like, what did you say?
20-foot pythons?
20-foot pythons?
This is
like,
the
Brandon, what
the state is the breeding ground for every invasive species under the sun. Because people bring them, it's how the pythons got here. It's how we got iguanas. It's how we got those curly tail lizards that are the size of rats. They're
Well, because they can
disgusting.
live here. Like if
people bring them
really
here as pets. The snake gets too big. You dump it in the Everglades, and next thing you know, we got hundreds of thousands
Gray
of pythons.
squirrels are the worst.
It's insane.
Florida is the Australia of the United States.
But what's really funny is that everybody is in complete agreement that you want to load up a bunch of guys on an airboat, go out into the swamp, and hack a bunch of pythons to death with machetes. Great. Because these are an invasive species that are harming our state, destroying the things that naturally occur here. And not only will they encourage you to do that, they will pay you for it.
Yeah.
But you suggest deporting one illegal immigrant,
and
it's game over. They say no. They brought us tacos. Like you can't get rid of them. Look at all the spicy food they bring.
I was just thinking, Brandon, the other thing, and you brought this up. This translates as a deterrent. It translates really well. Because you can explain this regardless of culture. You can explain this to like someone from Mexico. You can explain this like they're gonna put you in a place that is surrounded by alligators.
Yeah,
like most people in the world, like doesn't matter the language. If it's Arabic, Spanish, German, doesn't matter the language. When they tell you they're gonna send you to a place that is surrounded by alligators, I think most of the world would understand what we're doing.
They'll get the picture,
The outside of the jail is scarier than the inside of the jail.
Yeah.
And it's also not meant to be long-term holding. Like they ship you there, then they put you on a plane, and then they fly you back to your country of origin. Like no one's getting locked up there for 6-8 months at a time. It's meant to hold them for processing and then deportation. As Trump said, the only way out of there is deportation.
Right.
And he even said it in that clip we played. It's encouraging people to self-deport. That has probably been his biggest success so far.
Yeah,
the people who are so deterred by what he's doing that they're just leaving. They're leaving on their own, and that's a victory that he deserves credit for.
I like it.
Right. And then the Native Americans, I mean, give me a break. What, your protected land is the freaking Everglades? I mean...
They got the casinos. What else do
Exactly.
they need
Yeah,
down there?
you're fine. Relax.
Like, if Trump tries to seize the Guitar Hotel, the Hard Rock under eminent domain, sure, put up a stink, but...
And I love seeing Trump working again with Ron DeSantis.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
And we have a valuable lesson for everyone at home. Holding grudges, it's just lame. It doesn't get you anywhere. You know, you just drop it and get on with business.
Yep, and don't jump the gun and get too big for your britches like DeSantis did. So
when DeSantis is here in his home state...
What?
This was always the case. When DeSantis is here in Florida, he is phenomenal. You saw, like, from the moment he tried to launch his campaign on that X Spaces that kept crashing and went terribly, to the moment he dropped out, his campaign was botched, and he probably had bad people trying to incentivize him to undermine Trump and go try to, cash his check as high as he could take it. And then as soon as his campaign was done and he was back in Florida, it was just knockout after knockout of great policies continuing to make this state a good place to live.
Yeah, if he
So
follows
it's
his,
better when they work together.
if he follows his instinct, he's great. But like when he tries to, go rogue or like listen to people, he was definitely listening to strategists. And like I think there's nothing worse than a politician could do than listen to strategists and staffers. Like, oh, our sample size groups are saying that if you say this way, then it's a 1% boost. Like, shut up. Trump. How much do you think Trump listens to that shit?
No. We're gonna call it Alligator Alley.
Yeah.
Sorry, that might be Alligator Alley.
Exactly.
But there's not a single week that our governor Ron DeSantis hasn't put out a good policy.
Speaking of good policies, as of this week, I believe Florida's
as of yesterday.
Yesterday,
That's what I was
congratulations,
saying.
everybody.
Yeah.
Florida is done with geoengineering, so that might either mean we're done with hurricanes or that we're going to get a whole lot more of hurricanes because we've been doing this stuff since like the 40s. Like there's something called Operation Cyrus where we were like creating and ending hurricanes like right off the coast of Georgia. I think they made a hurricane by accident and it hit Georgia, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Operation Popeye, we flooded Vietnam with monsoons. So, there's no telling like to what extent this has actually impacted the weather. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens with this. Just around the horn, Amy.
It's just so funny that for the longest time, everyone was saying that chemtrails, weather modification, all of these things, it's a conspiracy theory. Wow, we just passed legislation to block them from doing the thing that's a conspiracy theory. Isn't that crazy? You know what? I am just so sick of people being persecuted for being right too early. I'm so sick of it. It happens constantly, but once again, we have been vindicated. Yeah, like you said, I'm just curious to see if now...
What's going to happen?
Yeah, hurricanes are going to stop, or will they get way worse? I mean, I don't know if it was always necessarily to control the weather. There was also something about... it's meant to make you more docile, the effect that the chemicals have like on your body and mind.
Yeah,
like it's
memory
not
and all
just
that.
to control the weather.
But just the fact that they could shoot some stuff into the cloud and create a hurricane, that creates a whole lot of questions and
pretty wild.
suspicions.
Pretty wild, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be crazy if we just didn't have hurricanes anymore. But
Do you remember?
and that's a win for Rob's mom, by the way. Shout out to Rob's mom.
Shout out to Rob's mom.
You remember when Bill Gates wanted to spray the whole planet to help?
Like in a coating to protect us from the sun.
From global warming,
Yeah.
Or his mRNA mosquitoes, or
mRNA.
Bill Gates is going to destroy us in the sake of preserving the planet somehow.
And this is the problem with communism, Brandon.
What's that?
It's people that want they want the greater good for a lot of people. The more people you're concerned about, the worse things you do.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's similar to, I think there's an episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns creates this big thing that blocks the sun as it goes over the town so that everybody has to keep their lights on all day because he owns the power plant. But this is actually a great thing because it proves that a thing was happening that they told us wasn't. Like, how are you going to get mad at passing a bill to stop something that's not happening?
Right.
This is Senate Bill 56, and there's people who are protesting it. Okay, who's pro chemtrail?
Right. Wait, do we have a video of that?
We don't have any videos, but it had legislative hurdles it had to get over.
You kidding
it's like,
me?
Who's gonna stand up there and be like, "How dare we block weather modification?" Oh wait, I'm sorry, I thought you told us that was fake. So if it's not happening,
Or it was bad.
then why aren't you okay with the law saying don't do it?
I mean, so here's my thing too. Like, I've seen crazy stuff where like, did you guys know there's a hurricane sitting next to New York posted up the day of 9/11?
Oh no,
Just
Brandon, I never knew that.
offshore.
Like, so I mean, it's the craziest thing. It's like, it starts off like where Florida is, but like way out into the sea. Like, takes a sharp right, starts going towards New York. Then, like, the day of 9/11, it's sitting there. Then the day after, it takes another sharp right and goes up north. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff there with other stuff that's a rabbit hole. But the reason I'm making that point is
Do you
because
have a video, Ned?
there's charts of it.
don't.
Hurricane Aaron, if you guys wanted to do a Google image of its path. But I think it's reasonable to speculate that we could control hurricanes with precision. So, I mean, I don't know, like, what magnitude this is going to change things, but like, because I don't know how much we've been doing this. Like, if they've been doing chemtrails or like, cloud seeding or geoengineering like every day in Florida for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, like what impact has that had? And then what impact is it going to have if we suddenly stop? And then how many hurricanes were caused because of this? Like, because there is a case to be made that it's like economically productive the same way that a war is. If you just send a hurricane up the west coast of Florida and just wreck shit and then you have to rebuild it and your buddies get the contracts.
Damn.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I guess like a way to put this in perspective, like, what % of the hurricanes do you think were man-made versus natural, just like around the horn?
And not just hurricanes as well. Think about things like Maui fire, for example.
That's
like
an entire episode that we have to do.
Like what mechanisms do they have at their disposal to be able to create
and why
chaos
everything
in this way?
polluted and burn?
Yeah.
We've been having hurricanes since long before the technology to allegedly create them or make them worse. Like hurricanes are a natural phenomenon.
Yes,
hurricanes are real. Like,
no one's denied that they're real.
But I'm on board with only one form of weather modification. The Trump proposed nuke hurricanes. If every time there's a hurricane coming over from Africa, we just drop a nuke in the middle of it and see what happens. Because either it dissipates the storm, or it just makes things way more interesting. Because now there's a radioactive hurricane, and we get to see what that can do.
No, but you just do the opposite of what they do to start them. So, like, to start them, they, I think they drop stuff in the cloud to make the cloud like darker, so it absorbs more heat, and then that heat combined with the cold makes a hurricane. So if you do the opposite of that to a current hurricane, then I assume it would like weaken it or make it dissipate.
You would have to think, but that's what I'm saying. We should try it at least once. I think
we're capable of doing a lot more than we know about. But I mean, just like war is awesome for the government, I would assume natural disasters are equally awesome because they could, spend a bunch of money and put a bunch of emergency measures in power. So I mean, you guys don't want to give a percentage. You're not comfortable with that. I'm going to give a percentage. I'm going to say 60% of hurricanes and natural disasters have been engineered over the last 50 years.
Where are you pulling that from?
My intuition,
effect?
that's where.
To what effect, though? Just like they want to wreck everything periodically to get construction contracts?
Yeah, a little stimulation boost.
Because like we talked about this back after
we do that in the chat?
Hurricane Helene.
What do you want me to say?
A poll say, what % of natural disasters have been man-made, over or under 50%?
Yeah, so like remember Hurricane Helene? Like that one had a weird path where it swept up through Florida.
Which one was that?
That's the one that decimated Georgia and the Carolinas.
Oh yeah.
That's the one
that hovered over North Carolina for a weird amount of time.
Yeah, like that's very strange.
Yeah,
and we saw footage of allegedly the flight path of a plane that sort of like looped around where the storm developed and then flew away after a few hours.
And they say they're storm chasers. That they have to like fly that close to take pictures of it, but. What if they're like spraying it with stuff to give it a boost?
Don't get me wrong. At that point we looked at the patents for things that can steer the path of hurricanes, and cloud seeding is an openly acknowledged technology that, weirdly enough, there were laws that this Florida bill repealed that had been on the books for years that said geoengineering and cloud seeding were legal.
Yeah.
So this is repealing it, but 60%. You're saying 60% of natural disasters are completely artificial.
Chat agrees.
Chat agrees.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Like in Dubai was one of the early adopters of cloud seeding, and growing up, it got out of hand a few times. Like I couldn't even.
Oh, were they miscalibrated it with the cloud seeding?
I'm old. A president that I won't name was coming to Dubai that weekend. Because if I name the president, I'm going to give away my age, right? A president was coming down to Dubai.
When I was a boy, Grover Cleveland was president.
And the weekend before he came, I think they had to move the visit because it rained so much. The whole Dubai, imagine this, a city in the middle of the desert. The whole city was flooded.
Yeah.
Like I remember
it has no drainage. So anytime it rains more than like a little bit, the entire city gets
remember going outside with a skimboard and just doing skimboarding through the streets of Dubai.
So they like round up or something, or they missed the measurement?
I don't know what happened, but I never seen the rain on the desert as I saw that day. It was absolutely unbelievable.
Speaking of that, I've always wondered how the hell a drought is even a thing that exists in our vocabulary since we're able to make it rain with cloud seeding. Like Arizona, parts of California,
it's a great
Nevada.
point. And then
what's going on?
And then what about when what was it, Texas that had a freak winter storm as well, where nobody could even leave their house for days.
Except
none of
for
their
Ted Cruz, who went to
infrastructure was set
Cancun.
up to be able to accommodate it. Like, do you think something like that was
I do.
geoengineering?
You know why? Because there's 3 power grids in America. There's the Eastern, the Western, and the Texas. So Texas is so badass and rogue that it has its own power grid, right? But the federal government hates that. They want it to be incorporated in the main power grid, and they always give Texas a bunch of shit about that. So, when that happened, their thing kind of disconnected for a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, see, that's why you got to be part of the federal grid."
Right.
Well,
so they are on the federal grid now.
No,
or
they're
they
still
still
holding out.
refuse.
Part of what
Good for
happened in
them.
Texas,
Yeah.
though, was that a bunch of their grid was supported by windmills, and the windmills froze up during the blizzard, or at least that's what they said. So it was a huge failure of green energy because turns out they don't work when it's freezing cold and they stop spinning. But
Boy.
I feel like you're taking the same kind of argument of like, you're on the climate change camp, only where a climate change activist would say, oh, it's man-made pollution making the climate worse. You're just saying it's direct government intervention that's causing all these natural disasters.
Not all, half.
So then the other half just happens naturally?
Yeah,
And
that's why they're natural. But there's government disasters
the
and natural
natural now.
disasters.
well, of course it's not natural. It's
Wait,
in the name.
real
But what
quick,
was the
guys.
climate-
Do you guys know about the Bayesian yacht sinking? Steve keeps
yeah,
bringing
yeah,
it
yeah.
up.
We
was that the
actually-
billionaire
Yeah,
guy
we actually
on
did
the
a
yacht?
episode
Wait,
on it.
and that was a free hurricane or something as
Yeah.
well, right?
It
or
just, like,
some freak
appeared right
storm
above his
that
boat.
Right. Okay. Yes, Steve. That's a really good point. I'm
Yeah, we
pretty sure we
covered it.
covered
That was our,
right as it happened.
I think that was our first episode with Ian Carroll,
It is.
actually.
Yeah, it was our first episode.
Ian and Minnie's faces were like
Bringing
sinking
back
off the
memories.
boat.
Put a like on the chat if you remember that
if
episode.
you guys remember that episode, and go back and check
But
it out.
I don't know. I'm in a very rare camp that.
Can you give me a number?
I'm gonna give you a number. I think 0. I think
0% are government
the
made.
most disastrous thing is the government response. That's what most of the disasters happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's embarrassing what happened last year. What?
The response
like
to
even
Helene.
North Carolina preventing people from going out to vote. You don't
Yeah.
think that any of that could have been possibly geoengineering?
Yeah,
Or the
you just-
lithium stuff up there
you
too.
just don't let a good
People didn't
crisis
have
go to
flood
waste.
insurance.
Yeah.
But Brandon, like most people die during the response. Like I can't comment on what percentage, but unless you're in Florida, 100% of the government response to disasters is a disaster.
Like, look at
Yeah,
look
but
at
it's
what
an
came out about
expensive
FEMA.
disaster, which is good for them.
Look what happened with FEMA right after Helene, where there's entire exposés dawned on. FEMA actually discriminates against Trump voters, and they're going after white families and family with American flags
I
in their
remember
yard
that.
because it
Yeah.
means they're political extremists. So to do this and try to seize power, like the government burns credibility in times of crisis, but I do think they seize on the opportunity of, okay, great, everybody got nuked by this naturally occurring hurricane, but let's seize all the lithium and quartz mines and then stop Trump voters from going out and casting their vote in the upcoming election.
It's not like they're all in on it. I mean, John Brennan was bragging about this like 10 years ago. He was saying like, yeah, we now have the ability to like create natural disasters. I forgot the exact quote that he was saying, but it's a small group of people that I assume get to decide whether or not you make the hurricanes. It's not like the entire bureaucrat systems decide on the hurricane machine, but there's a small number of people that get to hit the hurricane machine button when they want to.
So what else are they creating then? Or is it,
everything.
Or is it just hurricanes?
Fires, tornadoes.
I mean, the
probably.
fires
I think
kind of
the
make
Maui
sense.
one? You don't think the Maui one
No,
was
see,
a little
okay.
suspicious?
Nothing blue burned.
When the Maui fire happened, I
is that true though?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is true.
Here's what swung me over on that, because I totally did not think the direct energy weapon stuff made any sense until on 3 separate occasions I heard Joe Biden into a microphone say some people didn't lose their house because they had the right roof. Some people didn't burn because of the color blue.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought because making up a few blue roofs on the internet is kind of easy.
No, but you look at the footage and it's burned house, house with a blue roof that's pristine, burned car, blue car totally fine.
Yep.
Everything's decimated. Blue beach umbrella completely untouched. Then, miles of
How do
of
we know if that's
destruction.
not Photoshop? Do you know anyone in Hawaii?
Same thing happened in California.
Yeah, I know people in
Same
Hawaii.
thing
I know
happened-
that's where I lived. I lived on Maui,
Yeah,
Hawaii.
but do you know anyone that can testify to this?
Yeah,
Like,
people have said
I
that they
know
saw
my-
it.
my buddy
I know a
Brooks-
few people who said they saw it for themselves. A girl I know called Caroline. She said that she saw it for herself.
And my buddy Brooks, that's in
She
my,
lost everything in it.
Yeah, no, you're good. My buddy from my group in circles, he lived in Hawaii too, and he says the same thing. So, I mean, and the same thing happened in California with these wildfires that just happened. There was a bunch of blue stuff that was perfectly fine, pristine. So, I mean, I think it's like the 9/11 thing where not a lot of people are looped in on this, but it seems like direct energy weapons are used for that too. But there's a lot of rabbit holes that we could get lost in with this. So, I mean, I'm still looking for a number from you guys. So if we could just go around the horn quick and get
I'm
a
going to say
number.
20% of man-made. 22%.
Okay.
Lucky number.
All right, good.
I feel very tempted to side with Humberto on the 0, but
Wow.
if it no more than 5 to 10%.
I go 1% just every time Chris Christie goes into the ocean.
causes a tsunami that
Yeah.
wipes out coastal
What's the
towns.
final poll say?
The poll. Over 50% landed at 61%. 39% say under 50%.
There you go.
How many feds?
And 60% of the time,
I
it
did
works
that
every
poll
time.
already. That was a lot of feds. There's always feds in the chat. You know that.
Now,
We
speaking-
see you guys. We see you.
Speaking of fires,
And feds.
yeah, fires and
Brandon,
feds.
you're on fire with the segues today. Damn,
Thank you.
let's go.
Something's in the air. Not geoengineering.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So yeah, speaking of fires and things that don't seem quite right, there's this thing that happened the other day where, so in Idaho, beautiful place, you got this gunman who.
Coeur d'Alene. That's the name of the town.
All right, go for it.
Coeur d'Alene.
All right, now we got that.
French.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. This crazy guy, this teenager, I think he's 20 years old. He starts a fire in the woods, and then the firefighters show up. You know, these three awesome guys. It's one of the scariest things ever, by the way, to put out wildfires. Like, I remember the guy, what's the crazy guy's name that's always on Rogan? The guy who's like the workout machine, David Goggins.
Yeah.
He's like a masochist. He hates pain and or he loves pain. And like all the crazy stuff. He volunteered to do this stuff because of how crazy it is. So, like, it's a real gnarly job to get into. But these guys, they
It's
go.
not a joke.
No, it's like one of the craziest things out there. So these three guys, they show up to put this fire out, and the kid freaking shoots them. So very weird. They end up finding the kid. I think he allegedly killed himself. Was he found at his home, I believe, right?
No, he
or was
was
he in
found
the
like,
woods?
up in the woods with the rifle after we have the photo of the three guys here.
No manifesto.
Yeah,
no.
the two guys at the top were killed. The one guy at the bottom is still in critical condition.
The names are Battalion Chief Frank Harwood, 42, Battalion Chief John Morrison, 52, and injured David Tasdale. So,
Can I quick
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Do firemen carry firearms?
No.
Are
No.
they're not allowed
No.
to? Because you
I don't
can
know if
find
that-
yourself in
yeah, I
some
don't think
very
so.
dangerous situations doing that job, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
They're
And
not
especially
allowed
with
to?
people being hysterical, like people get hysterical in dangerous situations. What if they were to be attacked? Like I feel like they should be allowed to carry
the first
arms.
attack.
Yeah.
Remember 2 weeks ago in LA that they got shot at as well? I don't know, construction workers, they bring a gun around, and people that do maintenance on like high tension, they
You
always
should
bring
be
a gun.
allowed to, right?
I mean,
That's kinda wild to
I
me.
don't know exactly what the requirements are, but I do know oftentimes this is why firefighters respond to things with police. If
Mm-hmm.
there's the potential for a person to be erratic, if it's a medical call or something. But this was a wildfire. They're
Yeah.
not bringing cops with them to that because who's expecting the wildfire to involve gunshots?
I
So
mean,
true.
this guy is a psychopath of the worst degree. Like, it's already a very difficult job that you really need to have the heart to go do. And to add another danger in the mind of the next guy that has to put out a fire. Like, this is terrorism. I'm sorry, I'm calling it.
Yeah.
This is straight up terrorism. This could affect people in the future. Because the next guy that is going to go put out the wildfire, am I going to get shot at? Like, on top of being burnt alive, am I going to get shot at? This is unreal, Brandon.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's a weird one to understand though, because I mean,
And these guys are heroes. I'm sorry.
yeah,
to
no,
say
they're
it.
like
absolutely.
firefighters are the greatest guys ever. Like it's like you go to a firehouse, you want to see a bunch of patriots who love America, who
It's like you would think that was a universally agreed upon thing. Like, okay, the reason there's all these pro-police and anti-police movements is that's a very complicated issue. There's people who back the blue constantly. There's people who want to defund the police and get rid of the notion of community policing as a whole. Who has negative opinions on
About
firemen?
firefighters.
Nobody.
It's like, oh, those guys that are universally regarded as not only being handsome and patriotic, but also brave and talented, who respond to natural disasters and medical emergencies. Yeah, screw those guys.
And
but then
intentional things.
suddenly, like, for someone to go out of their way to target them like this, it's a betrayal of one of the few remaining community service members that is like actually
Right.
beloved by
It
people.
does make sense though. It just doesn't add up. Like the guy didn't have a clear motive to do this, and then
Well,
he just
he wanted
found
to be a firefighter.
Do we have a picture?
Wait,
of the,
he did?
We have a picture of the guy, I think.
well,
too.
so what's the generally regarded consensus? Is it that he set the fire to get them to come so
Yes.
he could kill them, or
Yeah.
that the fire was accidentally set?
No, he
and
had
when
a flint starter.
Okay, so the consensus is he did this intentionally to try to kill firefighters,
He was luring them.
luring them in.
It seemed
I
like they were
think,
trying to
allegedly.
kill as
Right.
many first responders as showed up, whether they were firefighters or cops. But it's all still very early, even though this happened on Sunday. They haven't found any motivation. But if you look at the pictures of the guy, he was his social media was covered in furry stuff, weird anime content.
Looks a little trans. I was gonna say,
that's unclear. But this guy was
Pig hat doesn't help.
a transient who lived from who jumped from one place to another, was living out of his van.
I see what you
like
did there.
low-T.
Oh,
Yeah.
Weirdo.
Wait, so all right, so I like to take these things nice and logically before everybody gets out of control. So, I mean, let's be realistic. Somebody that's this mentally delicate, and we're in a time with like a lot of fires happening, potentially by design to destroy things. Like how crazy would it be to hypothetically say maybe it's very easy to manipulate people like this into doing things with like low effort, like psychological practices, like they did to the guy who. Jack Ruby, who they made him go crazy in jail. You know, that stuff is super easy to do. Do you think somebody could manipulate this guy into doing this and then whacking himself? Because it doesn't seem like a clear-cut thing like, he definitely did it for this reason. He explained it this way. There's a manifesto. There's nothing like that. So that's where my mind goes.
You got to ask for the motive. What is the motive?
To deter the efforts to put out fires, because we're in a time of like a lot of fires and destruction.
But this is a small town in Idaho.
And
that's
it was
the weird part.
Also a very small scale fire. Like
Very
it
small-scale fire.
didn't destroy a massive chunk of the area. I think they put it out pretty quickly, and then the shooting started.
So the way I imagine the world working, I think there's like a hub where stuff like this, like they just workshop ideas like this. Like, okay, how could we create social unrest or demoralize good people from doing good things or heroic things, and they just like are constantly pitching ideas like this all day, and this is just one that happened to stick, and they executed as. I mean, like,
it is demoralizing, that's for sure.
Yeah,
like
but
to Humberto's point, the next firefighter who goes to respond to something like that,
it's already hard enough.
Yeah,
like leave them alone. I don't understand.
And their family. Imagine the anxiety that causes a family member. Like imagine being the wife or the child of a firefighter in that city, hearing about that story and knowing that that could have been your parent, your husband who was out there. Anytime they get that call and go to work, you're going to feel so, like you said, you're already scared. They could already lose their lives in a fire.
Now, I'm going to be very, like, this is a weird take.
Okay.
I think this story should have not been covered and should have not been picked up, because the damage that this story can cause because it's a very, it's not a complicated logic that he's using. Like, I'm gonna cause a big disaster. I'm gonna lure first responders in. So I think as the media, because we're the media, I think it's very dangerous to cover this story. I would have not covered the story at all to not give any other people ideas. That's my take on it.
Well, I do think
is it crazy?
No, but I think it's important to call it for what it is. I am more than 50% convinced that there's something deeper to it. Like, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it got picked up by the media, because it's a small town Idaho, like you said, but it's being picked up by the media where everybody knows about. So
there's also the mad scramble, as is always the case after a shooting, of one side or the other trying to say, well, actually, this guy was a Democrat. No, he was a Republican. No, he's trans. And they're
trying to politicize it.
But here, the one thing that is very weird, that they've allegedly found neo-Nazi content on his social media, but of course nobody can actually prove that. But the shooting and the fire happened on like 24 years to the day that same fire department burned down the abandoned compound formerly owned by the Aryan Nation. So the guy who used to run the Aryan Nation had this place, like after everything they went bankrupt, the group shut down. This is not an active group. So reports of the Aryan Nation claiming responsibility for this are false and completely unverified, even though that was going around on social media. The city seized the property and it was vacant for years, and then the fire department burned it down in a training exercise. Like they set the whole thing on fire to train how to respond to fires, how to put out blazes and stuff like that. And then 24 years to the day, this happens.
100% to the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not coincidence.
Like that's, or is it? It's so weird.
No way, it's not. It's definitely not. But
it's hard to explain.
The question is, who's trying to send the message, though? Because I don't think this random 20-year-old psycho kid took it upon himself to send a message about that. So I think it's deeper in that regard. But I mean, was it accomplished by doing something like this?
Brandon, I'm reading his profile right now, and this makes total sense.
So why doesn't he have a manifesto?
Because he's a total loser, chronically online. He probably hasn't spoken to a woman or a man, whatever he's into, in months. He hasn't touched grass in months. And he started getting ideas in his head, and he wanted to like live a little, be notorious, get picked up by the news, make a.
He would have wrote a manifesto if he wanted to be picked up by the news.
They don't always leave one.
Actions speak louder than words, Brandon.
So you think this online homebody guy.
We're talking about him.
Decide to just go out into the woods with a gun and do this?
No, because the technique of luring the first responders.
It's a very feminine way to do things.
It is a feminine way to do this.
But this isn't the first time we've seen somebody do this. There are all kinds of emergencies.
Police self-erasures are a thing.
Yeah, people create situations usually to lure cops, but they've done it.
Now they're not going to come out.
Yeah,
alive.
they've done it with firefighters and EMTs in the past, so this is not a unique thing. It's very odd, the timing of it, like we just discussed, the identity of the guy involved, but at the end of the day, it's a tragedy that two guys who served their community for decades, I think one of them was like a 17, 18-year veteran of this fire department.
So what, 2 years away from retirement?
Yeah, these guys are now dead because of some psycho in the woods. So even as we cover it, it's important to mention, like, you don't need to find the political box that this crazy guy fits into.
Tragedy.
Like, he could just be nuts. We don't have to blame Democrats for it. Democrats don't have to blame Republicans.
Yeah.
There are just legitimately insane people who want to cause harm. And regardless of why he did it, it happened and it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't think it's Democrat-Republican thing. I think that those two things are a psyop by themselves. But I do always, my mind always goes to manipulation with these things because it's very easy to manipulate. Even competent people that have a strong constitution internally, it's easy to manipulate them and hypnotize them. So mentally delicate people, it's super easy to do that. Who the hell knows if that happened to him? I don't know. I don't have any proof of that, but just the things don't add up necessarily. So, like, I'm like maybe 51% in that camp. Are you guys on the camp of saying
Brandon,
that's like natural?
I'm gonna play a unit reverse on you. Like, why didn't he leave a manifesto? Like, to your point, why didn't he leave a manifesto? Like, nobody has nobody has claimed that this is a gun issue. Nobody has claimed a gun issue, at least from what I've seen. Nobody has claimed a political issue with, like, some weight to it. Like, sometimes things just happen.
Yeah.
The world is cruel. People go crazy. Your brain doesn't work as it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
And a lot of that is by design, by political forces and various things, and just the way like the cultural makeup of society is, right? Like I don't feel like our society is conducive to good mental health, but by that same token, yeah, you can't directly put blame on the left or right. You can't always make things fit into like neat little boxes just to fit your narrative. Sometimes shit just happens.
All right. Now, speaking of the human brain, is now inside a computer.
Wow.
That's why you ended in brain, Brandon.
What's that?
That's why I ended my sentence with brain. It was a perfect segue.
Oh, you're trying to plant a subconscious seed in my head like
you
they know with that guy?
You missed it.
It was my fault. I
I
interrupted.
had a better one.
Next thing you know, Brandon's committing acts of domestic terrorism because you planted ideas.
No.
Wait until you see what we're working on.
My constitution
No, I take
is too
that back.
what the hell?
all actions are Brandon's and Brandon's alone.
No, my mental constitution's too strong to pierce through by the propaganda.
But that's only because I made him think that.
Right. But anyway, yeah, so this is a fun one. We got an Australian startup called Cortical Labs has unveiled CL1, the world's first commercially available biological computer, and it's powered by actual human brain cells. I think we have the website on there. This is billed as a new class of computing that merges living neurons with traditional silicone hardware to create machines that can learn, adapt, and even think like a human brain. Do we have the computer on there that we could show too?
Why?
So inside each shoebox-sized unit, lab-grown neurons cultivated from human stem cells living on a silicone chip and supported by a built-in life support system. SBI uses a fraction of the energy consumed by current AI systems. A full server track of CL1 units consumes just 1,000 watts, about the same as a hairdryer, and the CL1 starts shipping mid-2025 at $35,000 a unit. So, guys, who's getting one?
I'm first in line.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Because this is a win for God for designing the best way to do things.
Wow,
all right?
I didn't expect that from you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would think that you would think.
I
this
mean,
is,
we had-
which
Isn't this crossing the lines between transhumanism, though?
No, but
This is as transhumanism as it gets.
they were humble enough to go like, okay, God got this right. Let's go back to his design because it's the best.
Well, that's why
All right?
it's slightly different. The way I see it differently is because it's not putting machines in us; it's putting us in the machine.
So we're
Is
like,
that better?
so we're like,
no, it's not better. I don't know. I feel really creeped out by it, and I just want to say, of course, it would be Australia to try to do some
So
But
let me ask you,
That's like the test bed for the
Think
weird
of the
stuff.
energy
Literally,
savings.
we okay, guys. We talk about this all the time on this show, do we not? That
And
Australia
off the
is
show.
the test kitchen of the world because the cultural makeup of Australia is so similar to here in the US and to other major Western countries that they'll
guns.
test their weird shit over there. And this is the next Frankensteinian experiment.
So let me
It's
ask
an
you
Xbox,
guys:
though.
any of you ever read Dune? Like read the Dune?
I heard the
series?
movie is good, but no, I haven't seen it.
Nah. So there is the backstory of Dune. Like they have the brilliant people who basically function as human supercomputers.
Yeah.
Because they have outlawed AI and computers. Because thousands of years before Dune takes place,
Oh, the same as
the
Warhammer.
AI machines rose up and tried to enslave humanity, and they had to fight a war to kill the thinking machines. So now there's no more computers. I am full-on Butlerian jihad against this thing. That's what they called that campaign. The fact that we are now putting human brains into a computer and making them think for us, who thinks that's a good idea?
Yeah.
What possible benefit could there be to like, oh yeah, we have this server rack of little tiny captive brains that are plugged in that are running things for. At what point do those brains develop enough thinking capacity to be like, hey, why are we sitting here enslaved by these people when we control all their stuff? Shouldn't we
That's
kind
so
of
true.
reverse that on them?
Oh, wait, and that brings up another point about feeling emotions, because technically AI is not meant to feel emotions, correct? But if this thing is made up of human cells, human brain cells, then does that therefore give it the capacity to be able to experience emotions as well? And emotions are the biggest drivers of behavior. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, as soon as this thing starts feeling away, that's when total AI domination is going to happen. Shit, I better stop being nicer to my
But is,
ChatGPT.
is this AI?
It's coming.
Is this AI though?
I
is
mean,
AI.
yeah.
I mean, it's a human brain.
No, the purpose of this is to have. This is so stupid.
What?
No, listen. No, you're not stupid. I'm saying that.
No, I know you said I'm not stupid. You said this is stupid, that we're making this thing.
No, this is not stupid. That is very smart the way they're doing it.
But it's not AI.
No, the stupid thing is doing it. All right?
You're contradicting yourself.
No, Brandon. The people that are doing this, they're very smart people that are doing it.
Okay.
You're a smart person, but that we're going down this path is generally stupid.
They were
As
so
a
busy asking
civilization?
whether they could, they never
Yes.
stopped to ask whether they should.
That's it.
Here's the thing, though. It's like physically impossible for the human race to have an idea, like understand how to do it, and then not do it. Like that's never happened before. Like once you see a way to make something better, like we're gonna do it.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, it's like out of everything that we're wired to do, it's like make better stuff.
That's why I think we don't know it yet, and I say this all the time. And I hope this video goes out after we're all dead. We're already cooked.
What do you mean?
We are already we are on a path that is unstoppable, Brandon. All right, we're already on that path.
That's why I call you a pessimist.
No, I'm not a
No,
pessimist.
but I agree with you. Imagine what the world would look like if tomorrow they just turned off ChatGPT. If they turned off every large language model that has been made available to
We'd be
us.
fine.
Yeah.
No,
Dude,
no.
no, but things would be so disrupted.
We have had that
Man.
system for what, like maybe a
Only
year?
2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Think of how many people cannot function without being able to talk to ChatGPT.
It literally makes your brain atrophy. I really do believe that when you become overly reliant on it, it's that saying you don't use it, you lose it, and people are literally using their reasoning and logical faculties.
I still try to do 1/3 of my writing workload by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I refuse to
Like with
use
a candle and a
ChatGPT
pencil?
in writing.
No, but with my own brain. But Brandon, this is not good, and we're already cooked. The thing is,
Oh my
first
gosh.
Brandon, first of all, we don't know how far along we are. All right, let me tell you guys, this is an arms race. All right, we have China on one corner, the United States on the other corner. I don't even know if we can call it the United States anymore. We have the technocrats that vaguely support the United States, and then we have the Chinese Communist Party, and this is a race. And
not a race.
there's gonna be no mercy, Brandon, no mercy on this race, and they're gonna push it because they're gonna see at China. Oh, China developed this. We're 2 weeks behind, and then Brandon,
You're missing one. You're missing one important part.
What am I missing?
The globalists
It's a story
control
as
the whole thing.
no,
It's not a
no,
race.
It's a story as old as time. We're not in a race. It's a fake race. We give China the technology to catch up to us to scare our government and then to get them to spend money. Like the Operation Stargate happened right around the same time as DeepSeek came out. You think China made DeepSeek by themselves? No, they didn't. They weren't supposed to be getting chips from NVIDIA, but those chips made their way to China somehow. Just like
all the chips.
yeah, just like Russia, like during the Cold War, Russia wasn't able to make semiconductors, but guess what? smuggled our tech secrets there so they were able to make semiconductors, and we just kept propping them up to keep them enough of a threat to keep spending money on the thing. So it's not a real arms race. Like, we could blow past, we probably were way past China. We let them catch up to us. We're going to blow past them again. We're going to let them catch up to us again. And whenever you try to shake down Congress.
Do you think that, or do you not think that there could be a threat that we've gotten to the point where we have now created a monster that we cannot control?
With China?
Yes.
No, we can control them.
Brandon, the way we die in this scenario, the way we die, and Stephen Hawking, before dying, this was his biggest fear.
AI.
It's called the singularity. You know, have you heard about the singularity?
It's where they start being self-sufficient or thinking for themselves.
No, that's you have general intelligence. That's the first mark.
Yeah.
And then after general intelligence, like infects or like it spreads into enough things, and then we have dumbasses. Like, I won't name someone, but it's, you know, someone that thought it was a good idea to get a Wi-Fi coffee maker. I don't know why I need Wi-Fi on my coffee maker.
Yep.
And all these dumbasses have
It's called the Internet of Things.
Well, they have Internet of Things, or things that you don't really need internet on.
Yeah.
So everything is going to be connected with the internet. We're going from chatbots to AI agents. You know what an agent is?
No.
All right, that's a good part. It's evolution, and agents, they're able to operate outside of the box that they're bounded, so they can keep on developing their own software. All right.
So
Yeah.
the Vault conference last year, and by the way, if you're interested in the Vault conference, we have another one coming up this year. Great experience.
Yeah, wait till you see what we're doing with AI this year.
Yeah, we'll have a chat link somewhere if you're interested in checking out Patrick Bet David at the Vault conference. But last year there was a keynote speech from Max Tegmark, who is an AI ethicist and engineer and researcher. Very fascinating. He's sitting down with Patrick and is talking about how large language models are being developed.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I ever heard about it, but apparently this is common knowledge among people in the know on AI, where he talked about we don't know how it's being created. See, this is the thing with large language models like ChatGPT and other similar products. They are based on neural networks. So we know the input that it's given and the output that it puts out. Everything in between is a complete mystery to us.
Yeah.
Even the people who have developed these things don't know how it's making those connections. So when it gets something wrong, you can't untrain it. You can't make it forget something. You can just try to correct it to get something more right than wrong. But these things are basically inventing themselves in a black box that not even their developers can look into. Like, how do you look at that and not see it as we are helping birth something evil into the world, allowing it to create itself and take on physical form.
Yeah.
And we're using it because we're too lazy to Google things, because we're too lazy to do our own research and read a book.
Is it definitely evil, though, or is it just scary and powerful?
Brandon,
I mean,
It's the way
you're the one
things-
who's most skeptical of power out of all of us. I don't see how you don't think it's
I also
evil.
hate wasted potential.
Yeah, that's true. It's like it's the way in which it's utilized, right? Like things could be used
No,
for
no, no,
good,
the
they could be
thing- the
used for
thing is- the
evil.
thing
But
is-
how?
Well,
But if you by trying to impose safeguards, you are also stunting growth and potential. So
Yeah.
you're what determines whether it's good or bad is the moral compass that you wield when you utilize whatever it is in question.
But look at the
Amy,
people
Amy,
putting
the thing
it.
is that we're going to get to a point where we'll have no agency of what's going on. All right. And we're already past the point that we can put this back in the box. This is what it is. And I've been reading a lot about this, Brandon. And from what I heard, our only way out right now at the stage things are, like how the thing, it doesn't get developed, it gets trained. And then it starts with agents, it starts training itself and getting better every time. We already lost control of that ship. And this is going to sound very weird. Like, we're all against transhumanism. The only way to not die and become irrelevant, because this thing is going to look for more power, more space for servers, and there's going to be a moment, because it's going to be smarter than us, to be like, the city of New York, that's prime real estate. Do we really need the humans sitting here just mouth breathing? Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it and build more servers, all right? And the only way to save us, from what I've read, is to merge, all right?
Yeah.
So humans are going to be the first species to design their own evolution into the future.
I
You don't want
hate it.
you don't want to
It's
merge?
disgusting.
And Amy, you reflected on the moral compass, but
No, I
look,
don't wanna
look at the
merge.
people
Why?
who are running these things.
Yeah.
Look at
They're
our
psychopaths.
technocratic
But
overlords who are responsible
I
for
love
this.
them, all of them.
E-
They're the founding father of the next generation of human beings.
But here's
Elon Musk is great. He's trying to get us to Mars. He's doing all this stuff with Doge, everything. but he's also putting Neuralink chips into people's heads.
Yeah.
Peter Thiel is running Palantir.
Psycho Larry Elderson is making people walk around there at work with a camera on them 24/7 saying
Sam Altman
like they could go to the bath. It's off when they go to the bathroom, but it's not really off, and we could get it with a court order. And then when they go lunch with their friends, it's also off, but it's not really off. We could still access it if we needed to.
So our technocratic overlords are the ones who are putting guardrails on the AI. If the only safety we have is the guardrails in place, then we should already be terrified because these people are not good moral people. These are people who will screw over the entire human race for their own benefit. Amy, what you were
I
saying.
mean, and they're in bed with the God. I mean, that's why that provision was in the big beautiful bill. No way.
I want to allow you to talk about about the architects of the future of humanity that.
Well, I was going to say, maybe it's not them, which I do believe that those people are actually evil. I thoroughly disagree with Humberto. However, even if they were great and they had the best of intentions, once the technology is created, who's to stop somebody who is truly evil from coming in and co-opting that power for truly nefarious means?
Speaking of, there's no complaining. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. We're past that point. You merge or we're done.
I guess that's why
you guys are being dramatic here.
No, we're not being dramatic, Brandon. You're being ignorant. That is different.
I'm not being ignorant.
Like, the danger is real and we're past the point. It's done.
Wait a minute.
That's the mark of the beast. That is literally biblical, Humberto.
Human brain computers that are being taught to feel and emote. I think that's what Brandon is. I think they just put one of those little shoebox-sized robots into a human body and sent it to work for valuetainment.
That's why I'm defending it.
Yeah, they can deceive us.
He's defending his own people in group preference.
All right, but so we still have stuff to say here, but I think they'll carry into our next thing. So our next thing is going to be, I mean, this feels like gaslighting to the highest extent. So Peter Thiel comes out and says, guys, wait, hold on. Like, the direction we're going in, we're at risk of being marched into a one world government, and we can't have that. So, like, what we're doing with technology and all this stuff, putting us in a really dangerous spot. And it's like, all right, Peter, what are you talking about? You're one of the main people doing this. So, do you guys trust Peter Thiel at all? I mean, like,
yes.
on a scale from like 1 to
way to be a good
scale from 1 to
citizen
10, 1 being like, yeah, I don't trust him one bit, slimy, evil, this and that, and 10 being like great, humanitarian, ethical, this and that. Where do you put him at?
Visionary.
So the best, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Okay, so that contradicts what you just said, but okay.
I'll give him a negative rating if I could.
Yeah? All right.
Let's give it like a 2.
Okay. So why do you think he comes out and says something like this, like when his company is doing exactly what he's describing?
This was a moment of just blessed irony from the New York Times. We'll play the clip in a second. They sit down with Peter Thiel, and it's this long, wide-ranging interview about, you know, all his thoughts on society and everything. And he talks about how there's going to be a natural disaster or the threat of climate change or threat of AI or something like that causes humanity to rally behind a one world government. Like he quotes the Bible, talks about the Antichrist. And at no point does the guy from the New York Times ever question, hey, Pete, aren't you a good contender for that figure?
Yep.
Creating a one world government, mass global surveillance, one world currency, mark of the beast type stuff. Aren't you a contender for doing that? No, he just glosses right over.
The
Let's hear it
New York Times.
straight from the horse's mouth.
They
Let's
lie
hear
all the
it.
time.
Let's roll this thing.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history? Would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenario. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe, but is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and we've submitted.
That's what Palantir is.
Yeah. So from that clip, I don't really get what the article headline was like. So the article headline was spinning it as if he is warning about an authoritarian one world government, but right there he's kind of defending that he's not trying to become that. So
yeah, well, I mean, this next clip puts it equally into perspective, because this is where Peter Thiel won't even argue that he wants the human race to continue existing.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit
in this.
Should
the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would. I also would like us to radically solve these problems,
right.
and so it's always I don't
radically.
know. Transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or a transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses. And a transsexual is someone where you change your penis into a vagina, and we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity, by the way, the critique Orthodox Christianity has of this
is what?
That things don't go far enough, is what he was saying. But
so
wait, I'm so confused.
I've been hearing this for a long time, that the whole push for the tranny stuff has been to get people used to the idea of not being so attached to their body and their spirit, because if you get people in that frame of mind, then it's not that big of a leap to start putting stuff in yourself to alter yourself and make you more compatible with technology, like we were just saying, and mix and match your parts like you're a Lego kit.
And that's a really, really, really good point. And they really tried to drum that perspective in that, like, hey, your soul is different from your body. Like, you can be born into the wrong body, and that's the reason why transgender children exist. They know. If somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Right. It's absolutely delusional, and I can't believe how convincing they were in actually spreading that narrative to
And it goes a step further than that, too, because go back to what I said earlier, excuse me, about the way that AI is kind of weaving itself together in a black box that nobody can actually see into. We have no idea how these things are developing. Mm-hmm. Let's say, hypothetically, theoretically, that the crazy extreme conspiracy theorists are actually correct, and that AI development in this kind of technology is actually how malignant, malicious spiritual entities are taking on a physical form. They are creating a form for themselves to enter the world. You could see how the transhumanist argument of integrate yourself with the machine, accept AI-compatible things into your body, Neuralink chips, thinking computers, all this kind of stuff. It's merge yourself with this. It's not just about making the human body a machine. It's about making the human body a host to something.
Correct.
Something has entered the world through what we are developing, and it is now being hosted in living human bodies, where now your mind, your body, your various organs and parts are all at the disposal of something that is taken over from the inside. And I know that is makes me sound like I'm absolutely nuts.
No, he literally said it.
That is literally what he said.
He said we can change hearts and minds. No. He said it's not enough to change organs. He wants to change hearts and minds, which is exactly what Connor described.
One on time.
Well, this is the line New York Times doing it again. They lie about everything. They twist everyone's words. Like, I think that this was an unfair interview. Peter Thiel is an incredibly smart human being, all right? And he is a Christian, all right? And we are facing these questions right now. There won't be any answers that we like. There won't be any answers that we're comfortable with. We are not in the end times. We're in the starts of the AI times. We already lost control of the machine, and he is trying to find a way to harness it. All right.
You're kind of going against what you just said, though, because what you just said.
I don't have to agree with myself, Brandon.
But I have to call it out, though, because I was just saying in the last one that, I mean, I'm not all the way there on this, but maybe it's not that bad if we integrate ourselves to some degree, if like we maintain our spirit. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be a thing where we're losing our identity or like having something else influence our thoughts. But if we're able to like optimize ourselves more, like if we're able to not have to sleep as much, or if we're able to, like have ChatGPT in our head, basically, that'd be cool.
They're
if we're able
calling
to
you a Fed,
have GPS in our head, huh?
They're calling Humberto a Fed.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I'm a Fed.
But like, here's
right.
the,
Like, is that ungodly to integrate stuff that we created into ourselves? Because like it's ultimately creation of God if it's creation of us.
No, but there's so many things that have been created by humans that are utterly destructive. And would you say that's of God?
Yeah.
We created coronavirus. Why don't you accept coronavirus?
Yeah,
into your
why
body?
don't you go take that mRNA vaccine with the coronavirus while you're at it?
You know what I'm gonna miss? Being dumb. It feels so good sometimes just to do dumb things. You know, like where's my phone? Where's my phone? And you have it in your hand.
Or your head now. Next.
You're gonna start losing your phone. But I think we're going too deep. And I think these guys will figure it out. Like they know.
You
like,
trust that man?
Peter Thiel sat down and discussed the arrival of the Antichrist with the New York Times, and you're telling us we're going too deep?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
It took him like 30 seconds to say that the humans should exist.
Yeah, and
it felt like look, it was physically
there's
painful.
also a danger here that Peter Thiel is falling into, and so many other people, including people in the church, fall into all the time, which is trying to differentiate between your body and your mind and your spirit. Mm-hmm. Those are not three separate things. There might be separate concepts that can be addressed separately, but like you are not a soul inhabiting a body. You are not a mind that is steering a body. Like, you are your body. Your body is you. Your body is your soul. You're like,
wait, are you saying your soul is one with your body and they can't be disconnected?
They can be disconnected after death.
Right.
The soul is the part of you that lives on after death.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is there can't be this disconnect between the soul and the body, because that's a heresy called Gnosticism. This was a thing that happened to the early church, where there were people came in, they were called the Gnostics, and they said, well, because all that really matters is your spirit, if your spirit is a Christian, then nothing that happens to your body can be an act of defilement. So they would have, orgies and every other degenerate thing they could think of.
That's what I'm not doing.
It was all about, the physical gratification, because you couldn't defile the body, because only the spirit was what needed to be sanctified.
Oh.
But the rebuttal to Gnosticism is no. If you give yourself to God, you are giving your soul to God, you are giving your thoughts to God, you're giving your spirit and your body, because those are all you. You are the amalgamation of all those parts of yourself. So if you can't preserve yourself as, this is my soul. I've traded every part of my body
except
my soul. But no, when you get rid of your body, you lose who you are.
How about amputees?
What do you mean?
They get legs and arms and things, but
but I do want to comment on that, because that is
was a stupid.
No, but seriously,
it's a good
we
point.
talked about this before. Like the Neuralink chips, we keep referencing. Elon Musk is putting them in people. Nolan Arbaugh, I believe is his name, the first Neuralink patient.
Yeah,
the guy's been a quadriplegic for like a decade plus.
He wrote an email to Tony. I saw an email written by him.
Yeah, he's able to send emails. He was able to play chess on a computer. He was able to move a computer mouse. Mm-hmm. Rob has talked about on the show before. Like, he cried watching it with his son, because this guy who's been confined to a wheelchair for much of his life.
Rob, he's a crier.
There's a lot of depth to Rob that you don't necessarily see on the show sometimes. But he's able to now interact with the world, and that's a beautiful thing. So an amputee who gets a prosthetic leg, like that's not transhumanism. That's trying to restore the form and function of the human body. But when it's like, okay, well,
what if you have Alzheimer's?
Not all your parts are interchangeable.
Have you guys heard?
What if you have Alzheimer's? Then you get a chip that can fix it.
There is a gradient.
What if you have like Alzheimer's and you have a chip that could fix it?
Have you guys heard of the ship paradox?
Yeah, the ship of Theseus.
You change enough change enough parts of it, eventually it's a different entire thing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about it.
So, like, if a ship's taking a journey, one at a time, you replace each plank on it. Eventually, by the end of the thing, each plank has been replaced. Same thing happens with our body, with our cells. Like, every 7 years.
Yeah, we completely regenerate.
Yeah, every cell in our body was not here 7 years ago. So, like, we're technically an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
But, like, how many parts do you swap out on your body before it is no longer your body anymore? And this is a philosophical question that's existed since ancient Greece. But it's like when guys like Peter Thiel roll out these systems, or they create whole things of, okay, your organ's not working. Okay, here's a new artificially grown heart, or we can upload your brain into a computer.
So you don't like the artificially grown hearts?
This is why I wanted to hit on the amputee thing. These life-saving measures and things that give people back functionality, like those are all great. Nobody's gonna knock that. But somewhere along the line, it crosses from being a good thing that is helping people restore their lives to outright transhumanism. And trying to pinpoint that exact spot on that gradient is, I think, where we're having this conversation.
I'm sorry, but if I could have metal guns that can lift anything, and wings and lasers and stuff, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to fly.
I'm sorry. No, but jokes aside, look, in wrapping all these points of transhumanism and everything, like I realized, because I went 6 months reading this, that's why I've been so black-pilled, that my only insurance is my relationship with God. Brandon knows that I get up early on a Sunday. I don't miss. I go to my confessions. I try to be the best person. Like, we might talk shit here and everything, but I try to be the best person possible, because I'm heavily leaning on my relationship with God and Jesus Christ. That's my main goal now. All the things are out of my control. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know how long it's gonna last. Yeah. But I find, like, I don't know, I find comfort in knowing that I have a chance to go to heaven. That's the only thing that's holding me together right now.
100%.
I think we have a rough next 2 to 5 years, but like a glorious 25-year stretch after that, just because of the life cycle of things.
I got life insurance. I have soul insurance.
Because of the fourth turning, the first turning is going to come about in like 5 to 7 years, and that's always a good time. So I think that's where we're the world's going to look like Star Wars. Everything's going to be futuristic.
I think how convenient it's going to be to buy and sell when you get those things right on your hand and forehead. Oh, it's going to be perfect.
Well, that's going to be the second turning where it starts to go bad, but we got a good stretch of time. So, speaking of mind, body, spirit, and all that, and BS, by the way, we got a bone to pick with this guy, RFK. Yeah, so RFK brings psychedelics to the GOP. So let's take a look at this guy. RFK says psychedelic drugs like MDMA, psilocybin mushrooms, and ibogaine are increasingly being explored as potential treatments for mental health conditions such as PTSD, depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and substance use disorders. This shift has gained further traction under the new Trump administration, where Robert F. Kennedy has been appointed Secretary of HHS. Kennedy publicly accused FDA of suppressing promising treatments and has vowed to reform the agency, including the use of AI to accelerate drug approvals and bypass traditional safety trials. So I don't like RFK right now because he promised a lot of things, hasn't done a lot of things yet. I can't really name too much he's done, but I'm all on board with this. I think that these things are great, and I think that they could accomplish all these things. Amy, hit it.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to do something that I have not really done on any of these shows, and that's share something personal. I always try to keep the things I bring, to the audience very distinctly different from my personal life, so I try to not use too many personal examples. But I am so for this, and I can say that psilocybin and psychedelics is one of the reasons that I am a healthy, functional human being. When I was 3 years old, my dad passed away, and it was very unexpected. And I became nonverbal after that. I was a very talkative kid. I was I literally could name every single dinosaur by the time I was 3, just before my dad died. So very talkative kid. I went completely nonverbal after his passing. And during that time, I guess, you know, you can only speculate, but that's when I developed extremely debilitating OCD that has given me so much grief throughout my life. And it's not like OCD in like a cute, oh, everything needs to be clean kind of way. It's like stuff that wrecks you mentally, where you need to perform rituals, or you're concerned that like you won't be safe, you'll get sick, or your family won't be safe. Like the insane exaggerations that you guys see, like needing to go back and check a door, make sure it's locked like 5, 6 times. It's been me most of my life, like as a kid, as a teenager, and then in my 20s, one thing that has, if I'm to draw it up to anything, plant medicine is what has helped me become a normal, functioning human being. Psilocybin is incredible because what happens is it encourages neuroplasticity in the brain. As people get older, they lose the elasticity, the neuroplasticity, the ability to break neural connections and form new ones. And that's why there's that saying that people get stuck in their ways. That's why you can't change somebody's mind, specifically when they're older. They're stuck in their ways. Their brain literally is stuck. It's not elastic.
It's like
right?
the snow analogy. You know the snow analogy with like if you're sledding down a mountain, it like eventually like has like a path that the sled goes down. Right, so like you end up going down that path, even no matter where you start. But if you like clean sweep it, that's like what the drug does. It clean sweeps it, so you're not like carved into that path.
Yeah, exactly. There's a word for it, synaptic, I think, functions in your brain. So what's cool about microdosing specifically, you don't need to take a full-on trip, a full-on shroom journey or anything like that. You can microdose. It's 1/10 of a gram. And over time, it will actually change the neural pathways in your brains. Very different to things like SSRIs, right? Which are only masking an emotion. It is creating a fake chemical reaction in your brain that tells you that you're feeling better. But when you stop taking that drug, you're going to be in exactly the same position, or potentially a worse off position, as is the case that we've seen many a time with some of the crazy things that happen. A lot of the people who carry out atrocities are on SSRIs.
Yeah.
Whereas psilocybin, mushrooms, and ibogaine, the other one you mentioned, which is the West African root, it actually changes your synapses, your neural pathways in your brain, so that when you stop taking them, you are a better, more functional person. Right? As long as you're intentional with your use in them. And for me, I can speak confidently on this. It's been one of the biggest game changers for me.
It does affect everybody differently, though. Like the Liver King guy.
This is because you sound very confident. This is not medical advice. Please talk to your doctor.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is all allegedly. This is your own experience.
That's why I said it affects everybody differently. Like Liver King got screwed up by it. So yeah, people have had positive and negative experiences with it. But it is dirty and vile, though, that the way they do the drug scheduling right now, where they have, what is it, like the painkiller stuff? Is it Vicodin, or the one that what's the one that was super addictive that they put on the
Oxycontin.
Yeah, they put
I had a friend
Oxycontin
died of it.
yeah, exactly. Like millions of people have died of that, but they put it as a Schedule 1, I think, like where it's like safe and used for medical treatment. But this one, is it even on there? Is it like Schedule 3?
Yeah, no, psilocybin is high up. It's still quite illegal in most places. Ibogaine got put down to a Schedule. Wait, is it the opposite? Is Schedule 1 the worst?
Schedule 1's for medical use, then Schedule 3's for it doesn't have a medical application.
Are you guys sure about this?
I thought it was the inverse, which is why I asked. But either way. But yeah, so it is very illegal in many places still. So I mean, this is what he's trying to bring a change for. Like things like ayahuasca, for example. Screw that. That shit looks terrifying to me. I don't know if you guys have seen.
You had it backwards. Schedule 1.
That's what I
are
thought.
things that are high probability for abuse. According to federal law, no prescriptions may be written for Schedule 1 substances, and they are not readily available for clinical use.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Schedule 3 is ones that can be prescribed.
And they kind of have it as like the inverse of what you would expect it to be, where like they say Vicodin is like safe or not Vicodin. What did we just say? Oxycontin. They call it like has a medical application, not super addictive. And then they have stuff like psilocybin that's super addictive, but not medical application.
They used to prescribe Oxycontin when it first came out for headaches.
Yeah.
Right.
They rolled them out. They rolled out the drug in mining towns where people were prone to have chronic injuries to get people hooked on it. the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma just had to pay like, was it like the largest pharma settlement in history?
Because of the
opioid
allegedly
epidemic?
they lobbied the head of the FDA to put non-addictive on the side of the bottle.
That is unbelievable. Well, but people that fall for it, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, you break your leg, you start taking this stuff,
Well,
and you're
that's
screwed.
how my friend got screwed. He was an all-time baseball guy. He got a shoulder injury. They gave him 2 or 3 to start with. Then there was like, oh, it still hurts, 5, 6, 7, until he couldn't afford it anymore. Went down to the heroin path, and then the bomb gone in 6 months.
I mean, all of that is so different to this, and that's why I'm even skeptical.
This one though, people say they fixed their drug addiction. With
Oh,
this
ayahuasca.
One. Yeah,
yeah.
I got to throw up this joke from Landshark, who's one of the all-time posters on X. He's hilarious if you can find his old tweets. It's talking about ayahuasca and like how all these drug trips that people will go on. They will go down to South America and take the vision quest in a sweat lodge or something. Ayahuasca is insane because it appears to be one of the most legitimately dangerous drugs with the potential to gigafry your brain, but is exclusively taken by literal turbo normies who unironically want to like heal internalized racism trauma and basically get one-shotted by it. Literally having the most spiritually inept people in existence have their little lib brains rearranged by some Mesoamerican 6D demon who makes them quit their email job, divorce their boyfriend, girlfriend, and become a traveling circus stripper or whatever.
So you guys are against this stuff.
I am. So it's really hard to follow up a story like what Amy just told. And like,
I'm against this.
Take the anti-psychedelic.
I will tear you apart.
I think there are.
I'm for it.
Reasonable applications of these things because like, not to give the weed people any sort of credibility.
They're the worst.
But they're like,
stop it.
It's natural, bro. Like, okay, it does occur naturally. The mushrooms and marijuana as well.
So does hemlock.
Like, yeah, they if there is an application that can be helpful for people, then it would behoove the pharmaceutical industry to research it.
No, it
at the very
wouldn't.
okay. It would be good if they were good people, but we know the pharma industry is terrible,
Yeah.
so of course they would suppress stuff like this.
Right.
But somewhere along the line, you cross over from this might be helpful with neuroplasticity and people recovering from things into, guys just take shrooms and go live a lifetime on another planet.
Yeah.
Come back and 20 minutes have passed and suddenly their brain has rewritten itself.
You know who's on a bunch of shrooms is almost all of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Good for them.
And
look what they've
Elon Musk
deserve
is on
it.
ketamine
They
and Joe
deserve
Rogan
it.
is on
But
DMT.
Can I make a point
Yeah, so
here?
why are you trying to play the police for everybody?
Brandon, I went to school in California. I was 100-pound slider.
You're certified?
Yeah, no, I was 100-pound slider. I used to surf everywhere. I would go to all the surf beaches, like up and down from San Diego all the way to and I will get a big sample size of a lot of guys that experimented heavily. Like there was back in those days, 20 years ago, there was a lot of hippies that were still around that did all these psychoactive things, and they're all retarded and they're losers.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't
That's
think
your opinion.
No, it's not. They're literally
It can
twitching.
kill your
saying,
brain.
You're
No,
saying
it
you can't take drugs and also be smart and productive?
No, you can't.
Why does people in Silicon Valley do it then?
Because
I think
they're beyond smart and productive. Once they get to the head of the company, they don't need to be smart and
No, but
productive.
they were
the
doing it to get to
low-level
that
people.
point. They were doing it to get to that point. They
microdose.
didn't just start doing it when they became successful.
I don't think there's any upsides to these things. Like what I've seen with my own eyes.
You ever see the map of the brain on and off of it?
You are aware that, for example, microdosing, taking 1/10 of a gram, there's no visual hallucination whatsoever. There's literally, you don't even notice.
I know it's
difference.
rich that I say this. What about sun and exercise? Like people need to get outside their house. They need to find a girlfriend and they need to start being normal. All right? Okay, why can't you guys just be normal for a little bit?
You know,
Stop
they say
taking-
the burning bush was one of these things, right? The vision that the guy had in with the burning bush was from one of these.
Brandon, weed smokers. I never had a weed smoking friend. Never.
Ooh,
Never.
okay.
There's a great comment here. Taking shrooms with no plan or guide is like taking steroids and not working out. Exactly. It matters the intention and the manner in which you utilize it. Shout out to you, SR. That was a really good comment.
Yeah, because he agrees with you. That's why you shout it.
No,
I
but
take
that is
away your shout
no,
out.
but do you not see that? Do you not see how that logic tracks? It's like taking steroids and not going to the gym. If you don't have a plan in place to actually use it for medicinal purposes to become a healthier, more functional human being, right? If you don't have a plan in place, then
But
you're going to
steroids
go
are-
where
I
the
don't want to
wind
get
takes
personal,
you.
but I
Steroids
know
are
a lot of
terrible
people.
for you.
No, I don't want to get personal, but I know a lot of people that start using it as a crutch immediately. Like, oh, I'm so stressed, I want to go smoke a joint. Oh, I woke up in the morning, I really want to drink my coffee, I want to smoke a joint. I'm not feeling it very well.
You
I
say that
have a
about
stomach-
anything.
You
You say that
literally
about
consume
food, video
300
games.
grams of caffeine in one water beverage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a drug.
And so why are we policing which things people get to be addicted to?
Because caffeine and nicotine build cities.
Right. And psilocybin built Silicon Valley.
Brandon, there's no society worth living in that was built on psychobilin and weed. There's
all right, take away your Xbox, take away your TV.
Mars. He could literally populate Mars, and he's one of the biggest advocates for these things.
Come on.
What do you mean? Do you use Google? Do you use your Xbox?
I will agree on the weed front because I cannot stand marijuana. Any sort of quasi-libertarian position I used to have on the legalization of weed way back in my younger days of politics, I have completely reversed on because now everything reeks of weed. Take it from the guy who's always the sober one at the function who doesn't smoke the joint when it gets passed around. It makes everybody dumber, and because their brains are reduced to that level, suddenly they think the dumb things they say are smart. But I will agree that there are possible medical applications for things like mushrooms, for things like THC, like these. If there is a medical application, and that goes back to what we were talking about with AI integration into people's bodies. If it's able to have a medical application that is restoring normal base level human functioning, that is great. But when it gets to consciousness expansion and if you take this, you'll feel like you're astral projecting for 50 years and then you return to your body and moments have passed. Like that is opening up your brain to things that I don't think should be unlocked.
I agree with that.
It's unlocking a door that there's nothing behind there that is worth
and that's why
seeing.
people go insane when they take ayahuasca. Like you could come out of it. It's literally like rolling the dice. It's like a game of Russian roulette. You can either come out and all your addictions will be gone and you're a great person, or you could be totally insane and mentally deranged for the rest of your life.
People take ayahuasca and they report seeing otherworldly entities while they're on their trip.
And stuff.
They come down off of it and they report seeing them decades later.
Multiple people see the same things too, so they're tapping into a different realm supposedly. But I think it's bullshit that stuff like Oxycontin's legal in the same world that this stuff's illegal.
Yeah, I agree.
think legalize every single thing because even when you do make bad things illegal, even when you make bad things illegal, you create criminal networks. Like when alcohol was illegal, that's when the mafia got powerful.
Look at Portland, Brandon. No. We can take a look at Portland and see that doesn't work. They legalize all drugs in Portland, Oregon, and that city went to shit.
Because they allow loitering and homeless people. I think loitering should be illegal. Homeless people should not be allowed to be posted up on the street.
So you think it's because of those two variables is what caused what we see in Portland?
Think about all the negative effects on the hardworking go-getter heroin addicts.
I think it has to do with the drugs, but if you didn't let people loiter and sit around outside and just get up to shenanigans outside.
Heroin, you're going to be loitering.
Why do you go right to heroin?
Try to move a fentanyl addict?
Or if you're smoking
weed. Then they would die. If you overdose on fentanyl, you die. Whatever. It's evolution, survival of the fittest.
Why don't we just go back to cigarettes, all right? Let's go back to cigarettes, whiskey.
I agree.
No, stop trying to be the addiction police, though.
I agree. It's ridiculous that we have Oxycontin legal and mushrooms and weed aren't.
Yeah.
So isn't that just a case for make Oxycontin illegal alongside the mushrooms and weed?
A giant criminal network will form from selling Oxycontin.
Bigger than the Sackler family.
Now, if we're
a criminal network bigger than Purdue Pharma that will control governments to make their product legal.
Same ballpark.
We have argued about this before, but like when you make something legal, you get more of it. When you outlaw it, if you actually effectively outlaw it, and I know you're about to go to prohibition. Prohibition created the mafia. Yes.
We created the cartel.
But that is because it was not actually enforced. The reason the laws against marijuana have not thoroughly stomped out marijuana usage is because for like 50 years, you've been able to get away with weed. Like there's no enforcement on marijuana.
I'm sorry, but you walked right into my trap. So I mean, the reason that
you're a host, you're supposed to be getting the conversation, not setting traps, Brandon.
Well, it just came
I think
to
you've
me.
done a great job of hosting, by the way.
Thank you. And we're about to wrap up. But I just want to make this point. So I mean, the reason it hasn't been effectively enforced is because the biggest profiteers of the illegal drug sale is the richest people in the world that we don't know about. That's a fact. The DEA is a crock of shit. They arrest like 10% of all the drugs that go through there. So there's no real effort to try and outlaw drugs or stop them from entering the country. The CIA pays for a lot of stuff it does by letting drugs enter the country. You know, there was no cocaine in America before the 80s, before they started trying to find ways to send guns to countries they weren't allowed to send guns to. So, you know, if we're going to have that conversation of enforce it, you have to have that conversation too, because it's not going to be enforced if we have stuff like that going on. But with that said, guys, this was a lot of fun. And on the eve, or not the eve, but the eve of of America's birthday, can't think of a better way to go out than calling out the CIA.
Best country.
What do you think, Brandon?
What am I saying?
Just sing the anthem, and then
We'll do that next time.
Stand
Any last
up,
words,
stand up
guys?
so we can
Yes,
salute
really
you.
quick. So Connor and I are going to be going live on Dangerous Conversations tomorrow live. It'll be our first episode live. So I'm actually going to put up a question box on my Instagram. If you guys have any questions you want to submit to us, please feel free to do so. We'll be covering some similar topics that we covered today.
That's over on the Amy Dangerfield channel, Dangerous Conversations. We're looking forward to doing that. Also, I'm sure many of you at home have been worried about that the last 2 weeks. Rob and Vinny should be back with us next week when they return from Parts Unknown. They will come sit down and do the show like they always do. But for what it's worth, I feel like the four of us have held it together pretty well in our absence.
Oh, yeah.
Great job all around, everybody.
BTmerch.com.
BTmerch.com. Thank you all
And
for
join
being here.
my circle on Connect if you want to be part of the research and collaboration for content that we put out. So, guys, have a great 4th of July. Happy birthday to America.
Be safe.
God bless. Be safe. God
Love
bless
y'all.
the
See you
USA.
tomorrow.
Much
Bye.
love.